Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Right field. No chance. Riley, a rocket to right on a changeup. This ball is smoked to right field. Going back. Castro still going back. It's out of here. Home run for Kerry Carpenter.
Pulls this one down the line fair. 2 runs will score, and the Nats will take a 3-run lead here in the 11th.
Now Stowers with a line drive. That's a base hit. That'll score a couple. And Stowers is going to get a second. The Marlins are going to plate all 3.
This ball is torched. Left field. Mitch Garver will come back. Second deck bomb. What a take in the 12th inning. Fly ball straight away center field. Waters hustling back. He is out of room. Will Smith exits dead center. And the Dodgers double their lead.
Good morning. Welcome into Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. What's up, DB?
How are we doing?
Oh, we're doing all right. How are you?
I'm good, man. I thought I was, for the most part, pretty good. But,
Yeah?
Yeah, went with Brett and JB. JB and KC snuck over to the Dodgers game yesterday.
There you go.
Smooth operation, like Sade.
Sade.
Smooth operator. No, in and out. Met Brett in Neb City.
Yeah.
And then we shot over to JB's work, left the truck, got over there. Rain delay. So we caught up on doing life as men. And that was about it. The game was quick.
Yeah.
Very quick.
I mean, got to see a W. That's nice.
Yeah, I was a little concerned. It's a bullpen game for the Dodgers, so
Yeah.
But didn't seem to matter. Casey's offense is so hit and miss. They did all their damage the day before, which I'm glad I missed because
Ran out of juice.
I could have done the Saturday or the Sunday one, but since Verzal couldn't join us, I wore a T-shirt in his honor. He was not happy about that.
What T-shirt you wear?
Well, it's one that he wanted me to wear for his birthday last year, where it has the crazy picture of him and the driver's license of the offense that he's committed. And then on the back, it has his grandpa, a quote that says, "Are you sure he's okay?" when he looked at him when he was born. So, yeah, it was very overcast.
Yeah.
And so it was a quick game, and Brett and I and Parker, we shot back, and it was quiet, man. I had a really, really, really crazy experience. I thought I was literally last night. I was like talking to God, like out loud. I don't know what is. It's like diverticulitis or something. Like I just broke out in these sweats, man, and like I had this pain like behind my belly button. This went on for like an hour. This is the second time in like 2 weeks. I'm gonna have to get it figured out, but so I'm short on sleep, but I'm fairly good mood. Jay and Zoe they're in California at Disney. Zoe calls at random times.
Sure.
I'm like, huh?
What are you guys up to?
What's going on? So she had a Japanese bao bun.
Oh, okay.
She's clearly broadening her horizons.
I know.
So it's weird sports weekend.
Yeah.
Now, did you watch any Big Three?
No, I didn't.
For the sake of getting made fun of. Hey,
No,
I watched a little bit of Big Three.
Yeah. How was that?
Lance Stevenson is still a fool. Outside of that,
I want to really like 3-on-3 basketball. I really do.
Yeah.
I struggle.
Pearson, you won't let you.
Well, no, it's not even that. I just don't think the quality of play is good enough right now.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to watch in the Olympics. I'm like, why aren't NBA players doing this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, no offense to our guy Dylan Travis, love him, right? But like, why aren't NBA players doing this?
especially if they're gonna morph into doing flag and
Yeah.
all that other stuff.
Like
yeah.
if you're gonna let NFL guys play flag football, like
Oh, you can give somebody else opportunities. Shane, we don't have the what you call it, the controller thing, do we?
No, I looked for about 10 minutes for it and I couldn't
I
find
do
it.
not want to watch Cold Case.
yeah, I mean, there's some Wimbledon on right now, so I'm pretty upset that we're not catching that. But that's
You
okay.
want to put it on the big TV?
I mean, I'd like to put it on ATV. I can put it on that one too because I see that one a lot.
So I have it was an interesting thing. We had super sweet seats, and coincidentally, Mitch was just to the right of me.
Oh, really?
Days before that, I was in 111. He was in 110. So I sent he and Hap a picture, and because it was like a Dodger hostile takeover.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it was incredible.
I mean that makes sense. Any like
Does it?
I figure for whatever maybe hostile takeover strong. I would imagine there's a strong Dodger presence.
Cool. I didn't have. I was gonna send you a picture. The only disappointing jersey thing was there was no Tani's Angels jersey guy. I'm like, come on, man. Like they hate Anaheim. Can we not do that? But
It's a little funny.
one of my guys had on a black button-up with white trim and blue lettering Dodgers.
Mm-hmm.
God, it was so sweet.
Yeah.
And I only talked to one stranger. One guy recognized me that is from here.
Mm-hmm.
So Brett and Joe, of course, made fun of me, but he had on a Fernando Valenzuela jersey.
Okay. Old school.
So he's significantly younger than me.
Yeah.
I would say at least 10, 12 years.
Okay.
Made the mistake of talking to me.
You go, hey, sweet jersey.
Man, my dude looked at me about 10 minutes into the conversation. He said, man, you're an old head. Pedro Guerrero? That's what's up. I was like, yeah, I'm going to go back to not talking. My man said, you're an old head.
Yeah,
But he's the dude rocking the Valenzuela jersey.
he doesn't got to hit you with the double old head.
It's almost
unnecessary.
50 years old.
Yeah. Was it 88?
No, 80. 81.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He was the first World Series in the 80s.
Was it a vintage jersey?
Yeah, it was nice. Stitched. I mean, he was getting pretty thorough. Because you can only carry 2 drinks at once, and he made sure he spread out amongst his buddies. 2 for you, and 2 for you, and 2 for you. Yeah, he was. I mean, the delay didn't help.
Yeah.
Because it's supposed to be 107.
What time they end up getting first pitch?
I would say probably 220.
Oh, it's not terrible. I mean, it's not great.
It
But
is very subdued.
Yeah.
Like and part of it is our personalities. Like nobody's a yapper.
Mm-hmm.
Parker's super chill. So it was just like, it was very, very quiet. I got to figure out why we have the beef shortage.
Oh, what? Oh,
Yeah, I was getting schooled. I said, Brett, I know you probably don't want to talk about work, but I'm dying to know.
I need to know.
And like he gave me like 3 scenarios, and I'm like, yeah, they all make sense.
Yeah.
Supply, demand, the feed, like backing down the kills to make sure you have enough cattle.
Sustainability.
And some of the plants are shorthanded. Like there's a lot.
Yeah.
And because it's ridiculous. I mean, it is. I made the mistake. I was just telling Les this morning. I had like $10 left to get to 50 on my fuel saver.
Mm-hmm.
And I hadn't bought. Well, was there any food? It was mostly like drinks, and I had to get a big thing of charcoal, and so no protein. Let's put it that way, no protein.
Okay.
Because there was some cheese on there and stuff, and I was like, man, I'll do a steak because I hadn't, I probably need to be eating a little better here, and made the mistake. Was not good. I didn't finish it.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm like, my appetite sucks. And I was like, nah.
There's bad quality?
It's a definite difference.
Yeah.
Is a definite difference in the quality that I can taste now. So we were talking about that a little bit, and the box to consumer, and I feel a lot smarter about the feed margin, growing cattle, what an extra 100 pounds on a carcass yields, and I don't know, man. I might have missed my calling. Oh no,
should have been Rancher?
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
I was asking Parker. I said, man, you working at the pool? He's like, nah, I'm just cleaning up, doing some real work for my dad. I was like,
doing some real work.
I looked at Brett. I'm like, how are you gonna hire him before you hire me? Like, nobody can shovel poop like me, man. Like,
Brett's got that deep laugh. He's like, yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm kind of serious, man. Like, I could put some AirPods in and go to work, man. That'd be good.
I think the smell would get me.
So I asked P. I was like, man, do you wear a mask? Like, nope. Gotta tough it out.
I think the smell would get me.
I was like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, so
Your boy might be masked up out there, but I'm not one of those guys that likes to wear masks anyway, especially outside.
I also feel like if that's like not what people do who are doing that, you're not going to do it either. Just as like a
right, you
because like you're competitive. You don't want to be the one guy that's doing it different.
100%.
Yeah,
I don't. I don't.
You'd be like, oh, I guess this is how we do it. All right, we're just doing this.
So I didn't watch. You watch any bad television this weekend, Shane? I think 3-on-3 is as bad as it got for me.
It's pretty bad.
By the way, why do they keep listing Ohtani as 210?
Weight wise?
Yeah, that dude's not 210.
Yeah, he's a big boy.
He seems significantly bigger than that.
He's a big boy. I would guess because he's like 6'5", right? 6'4".
Yeah,
he's probably 240 at least.
Fudge.
If you have any sort of mass on you at 6'4", 6'5", like you're 230, 240, pretty easy.
We were obviously Caglione being left-handed.
Mm-hmm.
He's facing us because we were. His angle was to us. We were kind of down third baseline, and his stance is the length of the batter's box.
Yeah, it's so wide.
I mean, he's almost tip to tip,
and
it looks fairly comfortable. It doesn't look like
it doesn't look like it doesn't look like Bagwell.
Yeah,
like,
it's not Bagwell,
right? You know what I mean?
The
like
anti-Bagwell,
where Bagwell was like
he looked like he was getting ready to, come out of the bottom of his, snatch, sit that thing up. But,
yeah. No, Caglione looks pretty comfortable.
He is a monster,
giant human being. Like I don't even understand it.
I'm like,
he's so big.
It's a big dude.
Because he's like 6'6", isn't he?
Yeah,
he's a big dude.
I have a different level of appreciation too, seeing Witt, because you see him here, and it's like, okay, you're pitting it against size ballpark, the backdrop, a major league ballpark. Looking at Witt Jr., he is good size.
Especially for a shortstop.
He is a thick,
big dude,
strong dude. He did not see the ball well yesterday.
Yeah,
but
I mean, didn't seem like anybody for the Royals saw the ball too well.
First at bat, or they're bottom of one. I'm thinking, I gotta sit through this. They're about to beat the brakes off these guys.
They did not.
It's
all right.
That was all they wrote. All she wrote. So nothing good, Shane, at Comic-Con?
There's no Comic-Con. I was at the comic book store, but no.
Do they get like daily shipments in? Like, how do you go so much?
I don't go that much. It just seems like every time that you ask me, I just happen to go.
I mean, you go once a week.
Seems like it.
It has.
I would say twice sometimes.
I mean, minimum once a week.
If you average it all out for the year, at least once or twice a week. Yes.
Okay. So you go somewhere between 50 and 100 times a year.
I mean, it's trending that way.
That's crazy. So I don't know. Educate me. So do like if I went to Barnes and Noble, do they get new books every week?
I only went on Saturday.
Do they?
I don't know about every week, but think about it for a second, right? Think of just how many. If you like,
you think there's more comic books in circulation that are accessible, or books?
Probably books, but imagine you're going to Barnes and Noble and you don't have a specific thing you're looking for. How long it would take to go through Barnes and Noble?
I don't know. Ask you too.
Like if you're, you still haven't found what you're looking for?
Correct.
Like imagine you only spend like an hour. Nailed it.
I only
Sounds
went
just like Bono.
I only went on Saturday.
Only to be with you.
I only went on Saturday because I looked up at the ceiling and I saw a huge crack in the ceiling. So I said,
I'm getting out of here before my ceiling falls on me.
I said, screw this place. I'm out of here.
Do you really think it's going to fall on you?
No, but I was really irritated. So I was like, I got to go do something.
Yeah.
Shane does that. If he's like mad, he's like needs to go walk it off.
Yeah. And did you vape extra hard, or how'd that go? You're like, ooh, that crack. Ooh. Did you do one of those? No?
No. I stayed cool. I said I'm gonna go look at some comics, so that'll chill me out.
So do you? I'm curious about this. Do you have a method when you're going to look? Like, do you have? Oh, I looked at this section last week, so I'm gonna go. Like, do you kind of go methodically through to see if
Like
they
you
have
looking
anything
for
you want?
sci-fi or what?
Okay, so
Oh gosh.
a couple of the stores, I usually just go in and I look in a certain area because I don't look at everything.
Okay.
Because if I look at everything, then I'm like, I tend to buy more stuff. But I did find an extra section that I didn't know about, so the last few times I've been going in and checking that section out.
Okay, there you go.
So, not that you have to give everybody drop your pin location, but how many different comic book stores do you hit, and do you have your go-to?
I hit all of them. There's
Yeah.
5 or 6 of them.
Do you go?
Okay, so you go through like a rotation.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
You go
Yeah.
east towards the Blondo area.
Yeah, sometimes.
Okay, and then you go 144th and Center-ish.
Yeah, 120th and Dodge, and
100
every once in a while I'll go to the one in Papillion or whatever it's in. So,
that seems kind of. It's really innocuous. It's small and
it's odd and it's hard to get into.
you
because it's
blink
in the
and you may miss it.
It's in the downtown area, and
Yeah,
there's not
I was
great
like,
parking there.
I said, all it says is comics.
Yeah. And I don't hit the other one, the Legends one. I don't go to that one. I've never been to that one, so.
No. Yeah, I've
So
made
there
the
you go.
mistake of going in that. There's a establishment there that sells a particular food that I happen to enjoy.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, they got weird hours. I'm just gonna pop over there, and I'm just bebopping around, grabbing a few items. She rang it up, and it came up into the 40s, and I was like,
Oh, I think you told me about this.
yeah, first and last. First and last. I said, $47. I got 3 things.
Was this the dairy products?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was like, huh, better be good. You're a cow outside, churning and burning the milk.
And I like going to the comic book store. My guy there, one of the guys that runs it, he's
My buddy.
The other one,
Okay.
he's a Tigers fan, so we talk Tigers.
Yeah, man, those guys are pretty good. I don't know how they're doing it. I mean, Scooble through another
I'll
gym.
say Scooble.
Through another gym. Yeah, but
I mean, that doesn't help. I mean, that's not the whole team.
was it yesterday? What did Coach Sikora send me? I was talking about the voodoo. I might not even brought my phone. I don't know where it is. The voodoo of the Astros pitching staff. And I was like, outside of Brown, who's going to probably make a run at Cy Young,
Mm-hmm.
their pitching staff, what was the stat he sent me? Is basically lights the frick out. No, seriously. It is. So he sent this to me yesterday morning. The Astros have the lowest ERA in the month of June, holding the top position for over a month. Do you know what their team ERA is in Major League Baseball in 2025 in the month of June?
I do not.
2.69.
That's dumb.
I mean, what are we talking about?
That's dumb.
I don't know how they do it.
Mm.
And it doesn't matter who takes the bump. Did you watch any bad television?
Not really. I didn't watch a lot of TV. Watched some like reruns of some shows that I like, or like not reruns, but like streamed some shows. Nothing new.
I didn't start anything new streaming.
I haven't either.
I mean, I will though. There's a couple of things. No, wait, I did watch. Oh, it wasn't good. What was it? It was a movie. It's like an hour 53, and I'm probably an hour 10 in, and I'm like, yeah, that's not very good.
Say, what are we doing here?
God, what was it? I have to look at my Netflix thing. Netflix actually has some good movies.
Do they?
Yeah, like their catalog is. I don't know if they felt the heat. Now they have a lot of like 6-episode series, which is not good, but
I don't mind those.
So, I'm probably with you. So I don't have to watch 4 or 5 seasons.
Yeah.
But sometimes, like Waterfront, like I want more.
Sure.
So you could have given me another season without having to turn it into Ozark.
So I do think there is sort of a sweet spot between.
Oh, you know what I did start?
What's that?
And I'm 1.5 in. And you talk about having to put your ear to the television. I did start Mobland.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, man.
You're not in so far?
I mean,
I haven't started it yet.
We'll see. There's a couple of things that I've liked
Mm-hmm.
that I almost turned off
Early.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like Paradise.
Yeah.
Paradise almost didn't make it to the second season.
That's how I was with Breaking Bad. It took me a while to get through the first season.
Never seen it.
I like it, but you know,
I haven't seen Saul or Bad.
I like them both a lot,
but
I don't know.
It's kind of par for my course. Eat anything good?
What did I eat this
I did
weekend?
not.
I don't think I did either.
Very disappointed in my.
Where did I go? I don't know. Weekend was kind of a blur, to be honest with you.
Really?
Like, went by super fast.
A few too many specials. Pineapple coconutini.
No.
That's got you written all over it.
No, I'm not a big teeny guy.
Anything teeny?
Also, I don't really love apple flavored things. Like in
No,
terms
it's
of
pineapple.
Oh,
though.
pineapple. I thought you said
It's
pineapple.
the special.
Gotcha.
Pineapple
I thought you said
coconutini.
apple coconut. I would maybe do a pineapple. I'm not a big pineapple guy either.
No, I do think it's grossly overrated.
Yeah, it's like very strongly flavored too, so a little bit of
That's pretty
coconut kind of overtakes.
It's pretty powerful.
Yeah, it kind of overtakes a drink there. So I'm not a big coconut guy
All right.
or a pineapple guy. Coconut.
Ravi, I don't have any.
No teenies here.
No teeny.
I did have some. I did have some beverages yesterday, but
Really on a Sunday? Good for you. What'd you have?
a couple old fashions, and my seltzers that I like.
Where?
My friend's house. We were just hanging out.
So, at the stadium, they have these seltzers with the tabs.
Oh,
the
okay.
resealable tabs.
Okay.
And they were huge.
Yeah.
I think they would. What's the probably? Are they 22 ounces?
Like they're like
yeah,
tall boys, basically.
yeah, but
Yeah.
they're bigger than 16.
Okay, so they're
I think they're 22.
really that's huge.
And I watched a lot of people struggle with the tabs.
Can figure it out.
Apparently, it's difficult.
That
would be pretty sweet, though.
I don't know if this is a hot take. The tabs.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know if this is a hot take or not. I don't want anything more than a 16.
because it gets warm.
Yeah.
Boy, I could probably see that.
Like I'm just not. By the bottom third of it, you're like, this isn't good anymore.
I could probably see that.
Especially like at a stadium. I'm not bringing in my own koozies or anything. Like I don't do that.
Yeah.
No judgment if you do. It's just not a thing that I do. And so by the bottom third, that thing's not any good. No matter what you're drinking out of a can.
Wait a minute. When you say koozie, you don't mean like the Yeti ones that like keep it cool.
No,
You
I mean
a
just like the
foam
foam things that people will bring those into stadiums.
so they don't have to hold a condensating
No,
can.
because they think it keeps it cool a little better.
I don't know about that.
I think it does help some, but
I don't know.
I'm not going.
You talking minutes in a 95-degree
maybe
baseball game?
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, maybe it keeps it like
old fashions.
Well, maybe.
yeah. My friend was making them, so I had a
Wow.
couple. They're
Hey.
pretty good.
Hey, do you want an old fashioned?
It wasn't bad.
Mm.
I don't do a lot of whiskey drinks.
Yeah, I would not either.
It's been a while. Probably
Yeah.
last time I was over at their house.
Which apparently is all my man Morgan Wallen drinks because they're in all his songs.
Well, what was the one? The whiskey makes him make bad decisions.
Yeah.
Is that
Well, I only listen to the same 3 songs.
because
so.
last night they had an argument? Is whiskey in that one?
I let the liquor talk. I had a bottle in it. Yeah, I think it is whiskey.
I think he did. Yeah.
I know it is, and I'm the problem.
Yeah.
And then he's got another song with problem in it.
I'm just saying, it sounds like maybe if our guy Morgan switched to like a clear liquor or something, might solve up some of his issues.
And I meant to call you yesterday because I kept filling you in with Retzloff and
Yeah.
BYU. Yeah, it's over.
That thing's a wrap.
So now he's leaving.
Yeah.
And I said when we did the court, nice segue to nothing, right?
Well, that's fine.
Well, bad decisions. We'd segue that.
Yeah, that's true.
That's why I had him at 4.
Mhm.
I had that combination at 4.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, this is kind of high because I'm worried about what he's doing. Is this
So like
sustainable?
civil suit.
Yeah, my man is out now.
So
I don't understand.
do you remember when we were talking about BYU and schools and money?
Yeah, because it's an honor code suspension.
Yes. It's not about the civil suit. It's the honor code issue that came out because of the civil suit.
Yeah.
So it's not even whether or not he's guilty of what he's being accused of. It's that within the civil suit, he admitted to having premarital sex,
Yep.
which is, again, against the honor code of BYU. which I brought up when we were talking about
why they can't get fellas.
Of why, like, I get they have more money. Like, I get the Mormon Church and everything. Like, they have so much money at BYU.
Mm-hmm.
We've saw it with Devonta. We saw it with the 5-star that just committed. That's not going to be there for 2 years because he went on his mission. So he'll probably be fine with the honor.
Yeah, we'll see Devonta up close.
But like,
now, they come to Lincoln, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Like, there's a limit. I think there is a genuine limit if BYU is going to be strictly enforcing honor code, which that's their right. That's fine. But I think there's going to be a limit of the number of guys that actually want to go there, regardless of what the number is. Like, they're going to have to pay a BYU tax on some of these guys where they're going to have to go 50% or more above what the normal asking price would be because, A, you have to live in Utah, and B, you have to at least theoretically not get caught under this honor code thing.
Although, would Utah be bad? It's so pretty.
I don't know how many 18 to 20 or 2-year-olds
Did you see
want to live in Provo?
The Jazz and hockey club's owner on McAfee?
Huh.
It was on at the barbershop, and we were mesmerized, primarily because of his shoe collection that was in the background.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the dude had the wall. It had to be this size. And it was just
all shoes.
Oh, it was incredible. My man clicked the clippers off, and he walked over to the TV, and he was like, yep. Like he just was checking out. I'm like, what did he sell again? Was it Qualicar? Quala something. He's 47 as a billionaire talking about what makes Utah attractive to folks that aren't familiar with Utah. And I was like, is he talking about Ace Bailey?
Qualtrics.
That's it. Thank you. What'd I say, Qualcomm?
I think you mixed Qualtrics and Qualcomm.
Yeah, Qualtrics. He sold that company, started and sold that company.
Mm-hmm.
Billionaire at 47. I mean, he was rocking a flat bill. I'm like, golly, man, must be rough. But anyway, he finally got your boy. We're going to have to change our group text strand because he got your boy. I mean, it sounds like Ace is all in. What are we gonna harp on now that Ace will be at camp?
Allegedly.
Hey, man, he said he's blessed to be there.
For now.
You're such a hater.
I mean, he's 19 years old. He seems like he might be a little fickle. I don't know.
Such a hater.
Today he might be all in. Tomorrow he might not.
Utah's fine. Salt Lake, baby.
I mean,
it does seem pretty.
It does. I don't know that a lot of, like, obviously besides the honor code stuff, which is going to be a hurdle for a lot of people that age, because it's not just the, like, sex. There's a bunch of things within it, like drinking and all sorts of things that make it not attractive to a college age person. And so I don't know how much the scenery outweighs that for a lot of people.
Yeah, depending on his OC, he will be in high demand.
Yeah, I mean,
he will be in high demand. How much does that change BYU's trajectory?
I would think quite a bit.
I mean, now you're looking at.
I mean, they got 3 guys. I don't think they know who the starter is.
You got Arizona State, Iowa State, K-State.
I think it dramatically changes BYU's. Standing in the conference.
UCF dark horse? Not quite.
No.
I don't know, man. You're highly competitive Big 12.
It is a highly competitive Big 12.
We'll figure out Iowa State here.
Did you say Kansas State?
Yeah.
Yeah, Kansas State, Iowa
Well, they
State,
open with
Arizona
another.
State. Yeah.
And then 2 weeks later, Iowa State's got Iowa. So we'll figure.
That's the Ireland game, right? Kansas State, Iowa State.
One's the 23rd, and then one's the big one is the following weekend.
Yeah. That's a good opener.
It's way good.
Like, I'll take that all day.
Yeah.
Great opener.
Way good.
I think the Big 12 is going to be a lot of fun.
I'll take it.
Just from a competitive standpoint.
I just hope somebody is really, really good.
Yeah, like emerges.
I sent you that piece on Arizona State, right?
Mm-hmm.
I get it, but I don't. 17 starters. I did want to go back because Phil Still, the mag hits on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like there's more than 23 schools with 11 or more starters back. Was that the number?
I believe
there's
so.
only 23 schools that have 11 or more starters. And the guy that he was doing the podcast with was like, yeah, man, it seems like this year's going to be a lot of volatility. Yeah.
I think that's
kind of the point we were trying to. And I shouldn't even be like that, gatekeeping a simple sentiment. But
yeah,
I'm like, man, kind of been on this since February and tried to show different reasons why I think this is going to be such a volatile college football season.
Quarterbacks.
It's going to be incredible.
We went through.
Like, you just don't feel good about anything.
No, which is why I can sit here and be like, yeah, why can't Nebraska win 10 games?
I'm going back to I was listening to a top 5 list of D-line.
Mm-hmm.
Guy didn't even have Texas. And I was like, if he's right and Texas isn't a top 5, I just would allow myself. If he's right and Texas isn't a top 5 defense, defensive line, how good do I think Texas is going to be?
So I'm glad you brought up Texas because I sent you the Steve Spurrier quote, right?
Oh, yeah.
And
yeah, it took me a second too.
I think it's a little simplistic logically, but we also have seen the examples of the other where Spurrier said, if Arch Manning is as good as everybody wants me to think he is, how come Quinn Ewers played last year?
Mm-hmm.
And even after they kind of had an excuse where Ewers got hurt, they could have put Arch Manning in and could have left him in, be like, he performed well. We're going to leave him in. We're going to go with the guy. Like, they clearly thought Ewers was better.
Yeah, so Spurrier said it different than I did last year, but I was like, if Arch is that guy and Ewers can't get vertical in the passing game,
which he can't.
Why doesn't he play?
It was a major issue for Texas last year, limited their offense, right?
I'm gonna stop you right there. I'm gonna push my chips towards Sark more times than not, because he did have Ewers looking functional.
He did.
So I gotta believe
that he can get Arch.
He'll get Arch going. Now, to what degree?
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, clearly they were in my top 5. Of quarterback coach tandem. So I assume pretty good, but it wouldn't surprise me if he's not good. Because, I mean, between me, you, and the fence post, I don't want him to be good. You know?
He's your DJ Lagway.
Yeah. But I trust Sark.
Yeah. I trust Sark more than I do Napier in terms of getting their guy functional. Right. I also trust, like, from what we've seen from Manning and plus Sark, I'm like, hey, I'll give that a shot. Especially because I do feel like Sark can make almost anybody look at least functional. I don't know if that's true about Napier.
Have just been a super Berean. You know who I am really sketch on?
Who?
I don't know if it's I am dead set. I am curious on Michigan.
Yeah. With the Underwood stuff?
Oh. I have no idea what to expect.
I don't either.
None.
So here's what I was expecting until about 2 weeks ago when they brought in Jake Garcia. Until about 2 weeks ago, I was expecting that a lot of this was probably somewhat bluster, that Underwood was going to be the starter.
I'm kind of with you.
And that it was going to be rough at first, and then they'd figure it out.
I'm kind of with you. Might be some smoke to it, though.
But it couldn't be any worse than their quarterback situation was last year, which they could not throw the football. Now that they've brought in a transfer who's been at 4 schools in 4 years, and we're deep into June, I'm starting to think there might be an actual problem.
Yeah.
Where you go and you go, maybe this guy's not ready. And I think the same thing's true at Ohio State.
I was perusing the digital stuff from Phil Steele, and he has Michigan 4th, which I think he had Michigan 4, Illinois 5. He slotted Nebraska at 8. SC was 7th. I can't remember who was 6th. Iowa was 9th.
I'm just prepared for a lot of revisionist history while I'm taking my victory lap about Nebraska this year.
Oh, Indiana was 6th, I think.
Yeah.
I think Indiana was 6th. So, I mean, that's a.
I'm keeping a list.
You don't have to squint or be the eternal optimist to see Nebraska at 8, though.
No, I mean, I think you have to be. You mean you don't have to be like super pessimistic to see Nebraska at 8, or you don't have to be. Or are you going the other way?
No,
because I think that's low.
What I'm saying is, you don't have to like convince yourself that Nebraska could be in the top 8.
Oh no, yeah, I think that's low, if anything, personally.
No,
but you know where I'm at.
Yeah, do you have them 3 or 4?
4.
Yeah, that would be.
I've got Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, Nebraska.
Talked to 2 national guys on Friday afternoon, and
to a man, they said quietly a lot of people do like Nebraska. But everybody has the same question.
Nobody out loud though.
Right. Which was some of my. I'm like, you guys and he's really good nationally, and I'm still enamored by his voice. So I'm not gonna like clap back at it because I'm still like, oh man, you got a cool voice. Like, why do you just write?
So what's the question? What's the one question everybody
What do you
has?
think it is?
Can Dylan take the leap?
No. Plenty of confidence in Dana and Dylan.
Defense.
D-line specifically.
Oh, that's fine. I'm ready to.
That's the $1 million question. I mean, almost to a person.
Yeah.
Is Nebraska defensively?
I think they got $1 million answer.
Yeah, I know one thing. They know it.
Mm-hmm. They know that's what the question is.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, because that is a surly, ornery bunch.
Yeah, I'll take my chances up with that.
You know, which is why I have my man, Mr. Dvorak, here today.
Yeah.
With Mr. Holgerson, the old coach.
You think those two can figure it out?
Well, I think Dvorak's a key.
Yeah.
We know
Dana's got.
We know Hogo
Yeah.
is, but I do think quietly Dvorak is a key.
Mm-hmm.
Him working with Phil Simpson and Braden, kind of as a three-headed monster,
Mm-hmm.
will be to get that front 6-7 ready.
Mm-hmm.
Will be very, 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 very interesting. Got some good teachers. I
like that group.
I like
that group
I like
a lot.
the staff's brain trust.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I like that group a lot.
Like those guys are. It's a smart bunch.
Listen, I know we've done this before, and we don't have to rehash it every time, but I know Ty Robinson was really, really good. Nash was pretty banged up last year.
Yeah.
And I think we are forgetting that Riley Van Poppel's also been really, really good.
Mm.
And Elijah Judy last year was really, really good. And that there's a bunch of guys that we all like more than we did Ty Robinson 2 years ago. Ty Robinson 2 years ago, we didn't think much of. Is that, am I remembering incorrectly?
I'm inclined to agree.
Like we were kind of just like, he's just a guy. He never really figured it out, whatever.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree.
Right? So I think we're a lot higher on this group, or we should be a lot higher on this group than we were on the group that just left. I feel pretty good about it, especially with all the teachers that you have in the room at those positions. I think they're going to be really good.
So how are you feeling about the commitment list?
I never had a problem, but it's getting better. I mean, you flipped Nayland Scott over the weekend.
Well, they're up to 9, right? Still,
Yep.
Still including hyphenated last name.
Yep. Bonwell Witt.
Yep.
Yeah. Still at 9, including him. They just flipped Nayland Scott on Friday, a little bit after we got off the air on Friday.
Somebody goes today.
Is it Mpuma? I think Mpuma goes today.
Yeah.
And then you've got Darian Jones at the end of the week.
He's the 4th that Friday.
And then you've got somebody on the 12th that was just Devin Jackson. I think on the 12th.
Might be DJ.
So you've got to, if all three of those go Nebraska's way, I don't know if they will or won't, but if all three of those go Nebraska's way, that gets you to 12.
And you're still looking for, a hard hitting. You need an impact D lineman probably, and then hold the guys that are in your class because they'll have to circle back. I'm almost sure.
Yeah, I would imagine
on a couple,
especially on Odom. Odom's going to be the.
Yeah, may have a couple more.
Yeah,
may have a couple more. So, and I think they know that, man, because they're always gonna be recruiting.
Yeah, well, and that's we heard Tim talk about it on Friday, right? That's kind of the thing they're best at, whether within their class or on guys that commit elsewhere. They are really good at that second recruitment.
Yeah,
after the commitment,
just continuing to establish the relationships. Shane, you want us to get to us? You want to get to Cody now?
Yeah, let's get to Cody now.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be good.
All right, punch up old Commander Cody.
Cody, what's going on, bud?
Yo.
Hi, buddy.
Well, how you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Hey, Devin Jackson goes on Thursday.
Is he Thursday?
Yep.
Okay. I appreciate the heads up.
Yeah, I was curious about Keith Williams last night. Was that up towards Puma, or who was that directed at?
Yeah. You know what? I don't know. You never know with those guys. But I would guess in Puma. I think
Now,
Nebraska's the odds-on favorite.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like through Twitter.
Yeah.
But it's Twitter, so you never know what to believe.
100%.
My second question is, I missed the first half hour, so if you hit on this, I'm sorry, but is there a better gift Tennessee could have been gifted than Retzlaff going to the portal after everything that happened? I think that's who the number one player would be for Retzlaff.
It'd be high demand. I still can't believe how this thing is shaken out and why it's taken this long. I mean, we're at the end of June.
Yeah, and especially if it's been an investigation going on this long.
Yeah.
So here's the real question, though, more than Tennessee, that I think is interesting, is how desperate is Michigan? Would Michigan go get him?
That was going to be my next thing until you brought up Jake Garcia.
Yeah, so I don't know. I want Michigan to be good. I don't want them. The better they are when they play in Nebraska, and if Nebraska holds its own, I'd like for that thing to age well. So I don't want everybody in the Big Ten to be awful just so Nebraska can have some success. You know, I want the conference to be good, just not that good.
The other one I was curious about.
I know that's kind of weird,
I
but
literally have no clue. I literally have no clue who their quarterback is. What about Wisconsin? For Retzlaff?
I don't know. It's what Fickle's in a position
where he needs to.
He's got to win.
He would be desperate enough, I think.
He's got to win, but.
And with that offense, I think that Retzlaff would be a perfect guy for that. But I literally have no clue who Wisconsin's quarterback is.
And I'm forgetting his name because he's
it's Billy Edwards, the Maryland guy.
Yeah.
So that's an upgrade probably to go Retzlaff. I mean, not probably. Retzlaff is better. Than Billy Edwards.
Yeah.
So that'd be an option.
And they're banking on Edwards too.
Oh, they have to have it. They have to.
Who do they open with? Miami of Ohio.
Cleaning up right now in recruiting.
What's that?
Wisconsin's kind of cleaning up right now in recruiting.
You know, so quiet. There's two teams. There's two teams coincidentally the north that are quietly having good recruiting cycles. Minnesota and Wisconsin.
Have you seen what Michigan State's doing?
No, but it wouldn't surprise me because they have a really good coach.
Yeah. Jonathan's a heck of a dude, and I mean, it felt like the last 3 weeks they were getting 4 to 5 commits a week.
Yeah,
good dude.
Hey, pay attention to Minnesota too. They're having a good cycle.
That's where Malachi ended up, isn't it?
Yeah. Who they shut him down in the spring, and I just read, know a couple of those guys on staff. I think, it's kind of what it always is with him is availability. Availability.
Yeah. Well, the best ability is availability.
100%. You on your way to work?
And then I'm at work. I'm out in UTN right now. I did want to ask Ravi one basketball question, only because it's been all over my Twitter this weekend.
What's up, Cody?
This new 7-footer Creighton's got from overseas.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He's the real deal.
Dimitrievich?
Yes.
Yeah. I actually so when he committed, when it was rumored that he was going to commit, and that took another month.
Yeah, my man did a Greg Louganis about in a 16-foot pool dive.
I did a YouTube Eurobasket deep dive. I'm a fan. He's a smooth mover. I think he's got some scoring options in his kind of bag there. I think he could be really good. I don't know. I probably needs a year. But I like him a lot. I think he's really good.
Creighton still has room too. I think they're at 14.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to take anybody else.
Well, they shouldn't now that Fedor's back.
They don't have any minutes to go around.
I mean, you talk about depth. Coach Mack could play about 17 different combos.
Yeah. But
and my last thing for you, Damon, is I don't know if you've seen this weekend, but quite a few of the wrestlers were out at Nebraska Land Days.
Oh, yeah.
And to see the whole wrestling team in cowboy hats was quite interesting. I mean the whole team.
Yeah. Hey, don't let some of those guys fool you, man. They got a little crossover.
Yeah.
That is a close knit team because from everything that I can gather, they have had some explosive get after it sessions too. So I'm gonna need those guys to get along because they won't be short on intensity in that wrestling room.
Well, I saw Minto at Kyler Laridsen's graduation.
Could easily be the best kept secret in the Big Ten, and that's saying a lot.
He also looks like he could be the starting linebacker on the football.
Yeah,
team.
he's yoked, isn't he? I mean, that's he's got a bod for days. I am extremely high on him.
Yeah, I'm excited for the whole team.
Quietly, and I get it, because he's been in the program, but quietly, I'm interested to see if he makes a jump even as an older guy. I'm looking at Lamer.
Okay, yeah.
I'll be curious to see if
7 Lamer brothers. One of them's got a hit, right?
Yeah, and I get it because he's going to be a senior, right?
Yes. And that's why everyone thinks that Nebraska's going to push so hard for Bassett because you lose Lamer and Brock this year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you heard Coach Manning. He didn't pull any punches on. He knows that Bassett's on their radar.
Your interview with Manning has now made it through Willie Saylor, Pat Mineo. It's all over the wrestling world.
Dude, he's incredible. It was.
Yeah.
He was.
Bill Belichick's girlfriend thing that was wild.
So I felt, I went out as a little bit of a limb, but because of our relationship, I just wanted to say, hey, listen, I think they think you're joking.
Oh yeah, I did think he was joking.
But I wanted people to know that he wasn't, and he didn't. He was cool with it. He was like, hey man, I'll say this out loud.
It's one of those too. Yeah, it's one of those moments too where it's like, is Rob Cole telling him, hey, if you get a chance to tell the story, tell it? Since Rob Cole can't.
So they have such a good relationship, right? They're going on 30-some years. I would venture to say yes.
At least has permission.
Yeah.
At the very least. If he wasn't actively encouraged, I'm sure he had permission.
Yeah, I think,
Because I'm sure Coach Cole's pretty frustrated about how that went down.
Because even that Saturday when that news came out, I was like, wait a minute. Carolina had him locked up.
Yeah.
And that's the first thing. That's the first thing I told you. I'm like, what happened in Chapel Hill?
Just couldn't get him in the door.
And AJ was cool on his pod, right? He was like, hey, didn't work out at that institution. I was like, oh, all right. He just kept it pushing.
Within 30 minutes of you guys wrapping up that interview, Zanica texted me like, did you just hear this shit? Just going off.
Oh, Dr. Rob.
You got a good rise out of Rob.
Yeah. And that's hard to do sometimes because, my man, he's about 98/70 with his BP, his systolic, diastolic. He's pretty even keeled. But that campus, though, has got a lot going on, just in general.
Yeah. Now to wrap this up, because I told Shane I was calling to talk to you about Husker football, I'm very curious. Can you right now, not obviously right now we don't know because fall camp hasn't started, but right now, who is your starting O-line? Because that's what I think Nebraska's biggest question is.
Starting O-line, I will go Evans Jenkins, Spindler, Pritchett, Lutovsky. I'm going to go – I'll go with Prohaska.
Oh, okay. You don't think Gunnar holds on to the spot?
I don't.
Okay.
I think I'll come back to that in about a week, Cody.
I think there are 4 that are non-negotiables. Like I think it is Lutovsky, Jenkins, Spindler, Pritchett, no question.
I do think, Cody, and I'm not, me, I'm not going to blow smoke. I think they could play 8-9 and not lose a wink of sleep.
Okay.
This is as deep as they've been in years.
So who are the options at the other tackle spot? Prohaska, Gatula.
Yeah. Corcoran, Canuck. All guys that have played.
Still got a couple of years.
Yeah, I'd say one more. All guys that have played.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got options.
Yeah,
Well, thank you guys. Have a great week.
All right, Cody,
Enjoy
be
your
well.
sport.
Stay dry out there.
And you guys do. You guys make sure you just do like a courtesy check on Sauter this week.
No.
Still kind of worried about him on a kayak by himself. So. Have a good one, guys.
Thanks,
right,
Cody.
buddy.
I was trying to make the case that was a dangerous situation to just be kayaking by yourself while
So
drunk.
I probably sounded.
Bro,
I probably was a little dismissive because I've watched this now for 3 or 4 years,
Yeah.
and he always comes out okay.
It's not smart.
But the day does get progressively worse.
Yeah.
He's not exaggerating, too.
He just stays out there by himself in a kayak for hours.
Yep. Loads the cooler up, and he is draped.
That sounds like not fun to me. I don't know. Like, I don't – like, you do you, whatever.
I think he just likes the peace.
Yeah, that seems – I'd get so bored.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
apparently that's why he's drinking.
I'm not just like a sit and stare person. I get some people are. I'm not judging.
You couldn't go out and like just sit there and like look at nature.
No. Especially not nature. No.
I probably could. I could listen to it for a long time.
I
don't know how I would keep myself occupied, but I don't. I mean, I could sit at home for days.
Yeah, you can shut it down.
Yeah.
You can shut it down pretty good.
So I'm sure I could.
But even if I'm at home for days, like I'm watching or doing something. I'm
definitely watching something.
I'm not just sitting there.
I'm definitely watching something.
That's the part that I'm having a hard time with. He's by himself.
The movie I started must have been so bad that I can't remember.
That's not great. It's not a great sign.
What was it? I don't know.
That's not ideal. If you can't even remember.
I'm missing one of the linemen too that could play.
I was just trying to go through it here.
Sledge could play, but he's not moving outside.
What about Brock Knutson?
He's coming.
Yeah. Elijah Pritchett, Prohaska, Gibson Pyle, probably not yet. Sam Sledge, probably interior though.
Mm-hmm.
We mentioned Rocco. True freshman.
Corcoran.
Talmua.
Oh, I like him.
He might be a year away.
Yeah, I like his body too.
Yeah, I like Talmua a lot. He's maybe on the way. Brandel, no. Brick's on the way. You mentioned Corcoran. You mentioned Evans. Fennessy, probably not. I mentioned Gatula.
I said Canuck.
Hammerbeck's a freshman. Canators is a freshman. Yeah, that's all of them. Canuck, Knutson, Bricks. Juju Marks is a freshman. Jake Peters.
I was thinking.
I think that's all of them.
Yeah, they got options.
Yeah, Gibson, Pyle, and
you still probably want
Talmua are the ones.
a true blue vintage tackle type.
Yeah, which they've got a crystal ball for in Puma, which I think we're going to find out today. And then I don't know how you say his name. Is Leon Noyle?
Noyle, yeah.
He is also getting crystal balls to Nebraska. He's
another tackle. So that seems like they're starting to close the door on some of these tackle types that they've had a hard time. They've done really well on the interior offensive line. Seems like they're starting to put some pieces together on the tackles as well. Yeah, go check out, just for laughs and giggles, go check out recruiting with Wisconsin, Minnesota. I don't know how Wisconsin's doing it.
I looked at Minnesota. They're top 20 right now.
And I get it. Right? A lot of theirs is
volume.
It's bulk.
But they've got
they got some
3
fellas,
or 4 4-stars on the.
They got some fellas.
Coming up
if
here,
there's one thing they can recruit, it is secondary.
Yeah, they've always done a really good job of that.
Yeah. Colin, I'm telling you, that guy can recruit.
Coming up here in just a few minutes, we're going to talk to Brett Ciancia of Pick 6 Previews. Much like our guy Phil Steele, his stuff comes out, I believe, this week as well. And we'll talk to Brett about what he's got coming up for the college football season. At 9 o'clock, we'll talk to Jesse Rogers, covers baseball for ESPN Chicago. Those are the guests for today. Just another cool 1-hour segment. No big deal.
Just a day, just an ordinary day.
Just blowing through those things. No big deal.
Trying to get by.
We will get to Brett coming up next here on Hurrdat Sports Live.
You're watching Hurrdat Sports.
Give me that cheddar, bacon, Rico. Big bun and rolls like burritos. Give me that hot sauce, no pico. Give me that.
Aspirations can drive us. Sometimes a simple gesture is what fuels the pursuit of a dream. When it's time to make your dream a reality, we are here to help. Centris Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
Went back, comes in, she makes the catch, and it's a chance for a game-winning double play. That's how it ends. The Arkansas Razorbacks are headed back to Super Regionals.
What kind of goes through your mind as you're preparing to give that final speech?
It's the worst speech of all time because you don't want to rehearse it because then it sounds like you knew it was coming.
It was 12-0. Like we were kind of anticipating, okay, like this is gonna end tonight. Like nobody wants it to, but it's going to.
10, 20 years down the road, the wins and losses, you don't remember them. All the success is great and it is very memorable, and those are part of the good memories. But I think the time we have together on the bus, in the locker room, at practice, on the field, are what lasts a lifetime.
Where you gonna go when the shit breaks?
You just go out there and you look those kids in their eyes and try to articulate to them how much they mean to you and this program. And then when you finish and you stand there and watch everybody, and it's hard. I mean, there's no other way to put it.
Preparation of a Bananas game, because I know the shows are different every single time.
Preparation, there's a lot of prep that goes into it. Figuring out dances. We're not dancers. We didn't grow up dancing. A couple of us did, I guess, but I personally was terrible. And you just keep learning it, and you can't be afraid to fail, because all the preparation we do is to not fail in the game. Mm-hmm. But if you mess up a dance, if you mess up a trick play, no one's gonna make fun of you for it. Mm-hmm. It's just a very freeing experience and you're very open to try new things and create.
Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, reminding you if you're out on the roads this morning, it's a little rainy. Make sure you got those eyes focused and straight ahead. Don't get distracted. You've got one job as a driver. That's to drive. This message from the NDOT Highway Safety Office. We're joined now by Brett Ciancia of Pick 6 Previews. Talk a little college football ahead of his magazine coming out next week, both online and you're doing print edition now too, right, Brett?
Yes, yep. Hard copy and the digital options are both available. We're about 2 weeks from the release date, so some of the predictions aren't final, guys, but excited to break it down with you. The process is underway here.
I'm curious because I just know how hard you like to work at this thing, and especially getting a chance to meet you a couple years ago. Your accuracy is extremely important to you. Does the freedom of movement and the portal and the last minute things accentuate your strengths because of how you like accuracy, or does it drive you crazy because you know it could take you a little longer these days?
Yeah, Damon, it's definitely both. It's like there's more information out there, so I need to go grab it. You know what I mean? I'm really competitive with it. I always say if they're keeping score, I want to win the thing. So, you know, if they're going to grade who's the most accurate with predictions, that's the goal. So with that, I look at every single piece of data I can find. I look at every position group, room by room, who's in, who's out, why'd they leave, why did they come, what were they graded in high school, what were they graded as transfers, how'd they play last year. And now you have a lot of guys moving up from the FCS and the non-AQ up to the Power 5. How does that translate? Just so many variables. So, I launched this thing in 2012, and compared to back then, I mean, back then you had the BCS, you had the Big East still existed. It was a lot simpler times. So now it's just crazy. The work that goes in has increased 10 times, but probably makes it more valuable to the reader because they're probably lost coming out of summer. Like, what does my roster look like? What do the opponents' rosters look like? So hopefully my book is a nice guide there.
I guarantee you may be the only guy that could have Retzloff with the right team. Given the fact that, I mean, I look at BYU, I was legitimately calling them a dark horse. Mm-hmm. And, over the weekend, obviously with this thing hanging over their head, he just announces that he's getting ready to leave with that student code of conduct. Mm-hmm. And it's like somebody's quarterback room is going to change dramatically in the next week.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, on that page, I had a little paragraph there saying, if that legal situation goes the other way, here's who's in BYU's room. And they have Bear Bachmeier. He came in, he's a 4-star, but you're talking about a true freshman. Otherwise, you have 2 max starters coming up, I think, from the non-AQ level. So their quarterback room completely shifted. But you're right. You have a guy here. He's a Big 12 starter, and he could start for a lot of programs out there. So somebody's going to get a heck of a summer prize here once he arrives on campus for fall camp. A little late in the game, but it's going to change somewhere. But definitely we know it changed BYU.
Brett, as you kind of look, and we've sort of been playing this guessing game in the last hour, but as you sort of look at the landscape, obviously you've got as good of a grasp on these rosters as anybody does. Where are some logical landing spots in your mind? I'm not saying like rumors are reported, but like places you look at and you go, hey, like a Retzloff could make a real difference for this team.
Yeah, so you look at places that had quarterback changes. Right away the Tennessee UCLA spot. I mean that trade, obviously UCLA got Nico, Tennessee landed Joey Aguilar, former App State starter. He doesn't have Power 5 experience, so maybe somewhere like Tennessee. Very, very specific offense they run with Josh Heupel. You look across the landscape. I mean, like a Wake Forest, teams like that might have spots at quarterback. But a lot of these playoff contenders are pretty settled at quarterback. The spots that they were looking to add firepower were maybe receiver or another rush end, and you can never have enough offensive and defensive linemen. So, but I think the quarterbacks are pretty much set at the contenders. But, there's probably somewhere out there. And I don't really know the non-AQ landscape. I think that's probably most likely for him at this point, given it's July tomorrow. And that might be a little bit tough to go contend for a starting spot that quickly at a Power 5. So, we'll see what happens there. That was the big breaking news. I only know from the BYU perspective right now. I don't know what his plans are going to be or if he'll be eligible elsewhere even.
Let me ask you a question at the quarterback spot here, B, just because, and keep in mind, not the better quarterback, but the AQ or FCS to FBS conversation has me curious. So relative to their team, not who necessarily you think is the better quarterback, who do you think is more integral? Gronowski going to Iowa or Lagway year 1.5 in Gainesville?
Yeah, I would go Lagway. And maybe that's a little bit unfair because I've seen him in the SEC. We have a good sample size on him. He's played 8 games in the SEC. I think he's 7-1 or maybe like 6-1 in games he started and finished. He got knocked out of that Georgia game. They were up 10-0. But with Lagway, what I liked, he came in as a true freshman. He probably has one of the best deep balls already in the country. I mean, his hit rate on deep balls was awesome. Fix up some of those intermediate and short passing as a second-year starter. He has the build. I mean, people making the Cam Newton comparison because of his build and skill set. So I really like what they have there at Florida, especially with the roster around him. I think you have a really well-developed program. It's funny how quickly it changes at Florida. They were about to fire the guy in October.
Yeah.
Now they have a lot of positive trajectory. But then with Iowa, with Gronowski, I mean, talk about a winner. 2 national titles. The comp that I got from Scott Docterman, he's a great Iowa writer.
Oh yeah, we talked to Doc a lot.
Yeah, no, he's great at what he does, and the name he said was Trace McSorley, kind of a maybe similar skill set and size to him. Really a gamer. So I like hearing that. That's a Big Ten champion right there, and being from Pennsylvania, everyone loves Trace McSorley out here. So if you get anything like that at Iowa, that was the offense that's been broken, and they started to fix the run game last year. Now they want to fix the pass game. That'd be huge. So I don't know. I kind of rambled a little bit there. I've seen more of Lagway, and I think he's got a better team around him in Florida. So I'd go there.
Brett, we have been talking about a lot this offseason, Damon and I have, about sort of the middle of the Big Ten. So after Penn State, Ohio State, Oregon, how the rest of that shakes out. And our argument's kind of been like the difference between 4 and I think 9 basically could be really, really razor thin. As you're kind of breaking the Big Ten into tiers,
Illinois,
like that,
Indiana, Nebraska, USC, Michigan, Minnesota,
UCLA, if you want to throw them in there.
Iowa.
Do you say Indiana?
Yeah.
Like there's a ton of teams that could slot anywhere from 4 to 9 or 10. Like, what are some of the difference makers amongst that middle class of the Big Ten for you?
Yeah, well, another team that we should throw in there is probably Washington. This team going through a second-year coach bonus. I always like to see that, a second year for a staff or a coordinator or a really veteran team. They bring a lot back up there. There's other factors, too. I mean, I look at all my stats the previous year, my game grader formula, looking more than just the win-loss record. How close were they? I know that might ring hollow to fans because you want to win the games, obviously, but for a forward-looking approach, looking to next year, that starts to translate a little bit. So Washington stands out to me. I like their quarterback, Williams.
Really good.
They committed to him. He's fast. He really grew up in that bowl game. You saw those bowl practices paying off, and I can't imagine now a whole second off season. So I would look at them into that category that you were talking about. USC stood out to me in the research. 7-6 doesn't jump off the page, but I think it was 5 one-score losses. They were right there. They need to finish off games, and I think they're going to refocus on that and get the run game to finish off games this year. But yeah, really deep pool. And I'll say this, guys, and this is no spoilers because I haven't dug into it yet, but schedule is going to go such a long way in this middle tier of conferences because it's just so hit or miss.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's like you're playing in 2 different leagues. So if you look at Indiana's schedule last year versus like a Washington schedule last year in the conference, it's crazy. So I need to break down. I do a whole schedule matrix. It's a big operation, one of the final days, and that might swing the needle a little bit, moving a team up from 7th to 5th or something, or 7th to 4th.
I actually think that facet that you do is probably your greatest separator, in my opinion, of people that do this and are good at it with their accuracy, because what we try, and it's not because we do it, it's just very difficult to do, so it's why we do it. We always go through the schedule and the crossover games with swing games amongst these teams that we think are kind of sorting through, and we pick kind of the key games. I love how you do that because it gives you a good snapshot of not just trying to be right, but degree of difficulty to match what our projections, right? Well, I think this. Well, how hard would this actually be to pull off, right? It's very revealing.
Yeah, I kind of go the other way, because I listen to podcasts and you see the way too early rankings come out in January, and I know that's for entertainment, but I don't do anything like that. I need to really just learn about every single team. I break it down, offense, defense, every position. I need to know what I'm talking about. So it takes all the way. I'm not even there yet. It takes till early July to really have gone through all 68 teams, know what they all have in their rooms, and then be able to say this team is stronger than this one. Let me look at who's playing who, and then the final thing is breaking down who's going to do against their schedule. Because you hear it'll be February, and they'll say, "Oh, can BYU go 10-2?" Well, okay, who are they playing? I mean, how are those 10, 12 teams? It just takes so much to go into it. So almost there. The finish line is dangling in front of me, about 10 days away. The fun part is coming with the predictions. But yeah, I always start with the research and with the schedule. I think a lot of people just right away look at next year's schedule and try and just ram in a record into that.
So I know you said you haven't got here yet. I'm really curious when you get to Wisconsin's schedule, how you'll feel about that, because we went through it, and on the surface, that appears like a doozy in a really important year for Luke Fickell.
Yeah, well, it's definitely a swing year there. I mean, same with Matt Rule. It's their third year for their staff up there. He already pulled the coordinator switch. That's one of the levers you have after a couple unsuccessful years, and I think it was their first losing year in 20-plus seasons. But I pulled up their schedule here real quick for you. I mean, a road game to Alabama in September doesn't help. That's going to be
not a good start.
You're going to limp out of mid-September there into the conference slate. But yeah, they play a lot of that middle tier and upper tier. You see Ohio State and Oregon right away, two real playoff blue bloods. Then you got a road trip to Michigan.
They got Michigan, Iowa, Ohio State, and Oregon in a row.
Yeah.
And then you catch a breather getting Washington back home. It's like, really?
Yeah, and we talked like some of these swing teams that I'm probably higher on. Like I like Washington as a top 25 caliber.
I do
team,
too.
So
I do too.
I don't see many winnable games on here, to be honest with you. So that's one to keep an eye on.
So let me ask you about: would you rather try to pick between the Illinois, the Indianas, depending on how you feel about Mendoza? And we know Altmaier, they got 17, 18 starters back. You've got, Nebraska, who people are high on. You like Iowa, they're consistent. SC. Would you rather pick the middle of the Big Ten or pick a top 3 in the Big 12?
Oh my gosh, yeah, that is just the Wild West, that conference, and I love it. I can't wait to watch it in the fall. I think I'd try and go for that middle pack of the Big Ten. I think I can start to separate. I can make the case for each one. You hit on a little bit there. I mean, with Iowa, it's predictable. You're going to have a Phil Parker defense keeping you in most every game. It's just a matter of can their all FCS quarterback boost the offense. We talked Washington. Indiana was just a statistical giant last year. I know the schedule was easy, but for who they played, they killed.
Yeah, they hammered them. They did what they were supposed to.
Yeah, so when I heard people talk about that, about their schedule, that is true, but not everyone goes out and wins every game by 35. They were dominant. Illinois, I'm a little bit negative on this year. I'm not going to make many friends in Champaign this year. I know that this is supposed to be their dream season, but statistically, when you look at them last year, they don't have the type of profile that would project into an 11-win team the next year. So I think it was a great season last year, but I don't know if that has staying power.
Yeah.
So, that big. I'll say this real quick about the Big 12. I try and talk with head coaches and coordinators. One of them I'll keep anonymous, but I asked him, hey, who would you think contenders at the top of this conference? And he laughed. He's like, there isn't really a top. There's about 10 teams that could win the thing. So it's just crazy out there.
Are you surprised that with what Arizona State brings back, that more people aren't all in on the Sun Devils? I think it's pretty telling that they aren't.
Absolutely. And it's almost the same profile as Clemson within their conference because they both have the top returning production, the most top returning starters. They're very veteran teams. Basically, you're getting the team from last year back, and both of them won their conference titles. I guess it's just that Clemson has such that name recognition and the former dynasty with Dabo that they just have that trust factor, and maybe Arizona State hasn't had that amongst pollsters yet.
I think it's the 4 first or second rounders, probably 5 for Clemson.
Yeah. No, yeah, for sure. They deserve a little bit more hype than they're getting. I mean, everyone's back. Sam Leavitt is looking like an NFL first rounder, like you said, and the receiver Jordan Tyson, the pass rush. Lots to like there. But yeah, it's such a wide open conference. You look back on their schedule last year, maybe some of those flip and you have a Baylor or a TCU that could have won the conference. Texas Tech imported the best roster in in that conference history overnight. It's crazy the amount of money that was poured in and the amount of all conference guys that they've stashed in Lubbock.
That's my new dark horse. I don't know if that D line can gel, right? I mean, they paid for higher paid to play, but so's a lot of people. But man, that offense is pretty good too. They bring back a stud at quarterback. Texas Tech has got to be on everybody's radar as a dark horse.
Yeah, I think so. It's a program that, at least in my lifetime, aside from the one Mike Leach team, they were never really a national contender, a national title contender. So it's just new territory here. And I think fans are going to see all the investment that's been poured in, not just the roster, but they had a $300 million stadium boost a couple years ago. It's like a whole new program than, say, 10, 20 years ago. So it's going to be exciting. I'm going to try and get down to a game in Lubbock. I really want to see it live. This is like a once-in-a-lifetime kind of shot that they have, or at least the start of one of those runs. So yeah, it's uncharted territory there for Texas Tech. But they definitely brought in the talent. I think 12 four-star transfers. The rest of the conference has 12. So it's like they have really stockpiled a lot of talent.
Brett, what do you do with a couple Big 12 teams that underperformed last year in Utah and Oklahoma State, both with longtime coaches that have had a high level of success? Like those two teams, you mentioned 10 teams that could maybe win the Big 12, probably not included in that group of 10 are Utah and Oklahoma State. What are your numbers and some of your returning roster data talking about and two teams that have been really successful for a long time that had a tough year last year?
Yeah, definitely. And I think they're two different cases. And, I cover Utah a little more closely because I do some writing for KSL each week. I do previews for Utah and BYU. So I'm pretty close with what's happening there. It was a little bit of a fluke last year. I know Utah fans will tell you that, but really, I mean, their fifth-year quarterback, Cam Rising, went down in the first game or second game. He was thrown into the Gatorade coolers and jammed his hand. He was out for the year. And that really set back the offense. I mean, it was a dead offense. The defense still turned out a top 15, top 20 unit, and that's going to continue under Morgan Scalley. He's got such a track record.
Yes,
but why
he
I think
does.
Utah is a better contender this year than Oklahoma State, I think Utah really addressed their problem. They went out, they hired a whole new offensive staff. It was the top rushing attack in the country last year. They brought their quarterback with them, too, with Dampier. So I think they're going to try and address the problems. Oklahoma State, I don't know what the vision is. They had some poor coordinator hires recently. They're not recruiting anywhere near where they should be. I think they're outside the top 40 most years now. So I don't know if they have the talent base there anyway. So I would go Utah as in that 10-team contender pool, and I don't see the Oklahoma State anywhere near it.
So we're looking for – I had a poll question. I don't know. This is a couple months ago, and this is back when we were trying to slot AQs, which I hate. But, I was like, if I'm the ACC, what would I – quote-unquote settle for? So I was trying to pick the big three, and I said, any given year, why can't Clemson, Miami, and Florida State all be good? And historically, over the last 25 years, I see why. Like, it rarely happens for whatever the reason. It just hasn't come to fruition. So let me ask you about another team that could slide into that spot. If you had to play the long game over the next 3 or 4 years, would you push your chips towards Chapel Hill or down there in the DFW area with SMU?
Oh, that's such a good question. Well, the UNC experiment is really, really it's eye-catching. I don't know what to expect with it. I don't know if this is going to be a 2-year thing or if it's the awakening of a sleeping giant. I mean, famously, Bobby Bowden called UNC the sleeping giant of the ACC because you see what they've done athletically with their basketball program. It's a great, great school itself. So, and they have the investment. So it's just a sleeping giant. I think it's going to be quite a process there. SMU, they have that commitment. They're going to bring the money. They're going to kind of like Texas Tech to a degree. They're going to pump their roster with the best players they can afford. They seem to have the want to build a program there too. I'll go SMU. I mean, look at what they did in just 1 year at the Power Four.
Yeah.
So I'll go with them long term. You know what else, guys? They have the location. That's the one thing you can't change about a program is their location, and they're located there in Texas with some of the best high school talent and quality and quantity there. It's just loaded with talent.
I'm waiting for Virginia Beach, that area down there towards DC. They waiting for not a resurgence, but a kind of a. I mean, 80s and 90s, that was the spot. That was the spot, man. I don't know if people are moving or not having as many kids, but that used to be a pretty talent-rich area. Let me ask you about trust, level of trust. Are you a Shula Sellers guy, or are you a Bobo Stockton guy when you're going to try to predict what's going to happen in the SEC?
Yeah, well, if you're talking quarterbacks, I think you'd want to take Sellers, and that's just, again, it's going off past performance, so that's a good indicator. But we had a full season with Sellers. I really like what he did, especially as a first-year starter. You're going to see even more of a boost this year.
High risk, high reward style.
Yeah, absolutely. It's boom or bust. With his legs, he gives you a little bit more playmaking ability. You can not only extend plays but make big ones. I mean, he had the game-winning scramble to beat Clemson, and again, all as a first-year starter. With Stockton, also a first-time starter last year, we only saw him twice, and it was against two of the best teams in the country. Hard to hold him accountable for that. You know what I mean? Hey, welcome to the SEC. Get in there and play the number one defense in the country. So, and he grinded out a win. So credit to him. I'll go with the South Carolina situation just because we've seen 13 games of it, and he was able to go 9-4. I'll go with Sellers.
So one of the programs I'm fascinated with here is Notre Dame. Obviously, they had that huge breakthrough last year. What do you think about the staying power of the Fighting Irish and the way that Marcus Freeman has that thing going?
Yeah, I don't think they're going anywhere this time, guys.
How about his recruiting?
I know. I said, you read my mind. I'm going right there. Because, under Brian Kelly, it was always consistent, but they would oscillate. They would go some 8-4, 9-3, then they'd have their 12-0, and then they'd fall back a few years. But I don't see this being a yo-yo type thing. I think that the underlying talent he's brought in, it's really elevated the recruiting profile. A lot of 4-star, 5-stars at every position now. There's no real transition. So now they're just an NFL factory. They might send a bunch of guys to the pros, but they're just reloading now. And I think players want to go play for him. He seems really inspirational, seems motivational. And then in-game, he's the secret sauce. I mean, against Georgia, he had some of those little coaching tweaks and, the hard counts and the special team stuff. All that adds up, and that wins games, and that's going to continue. So I don't think they're going anywhere, especially now with the 12-team playoff. They have a couple mulligans built in. So you're going to see them in the bracket most years, and that only helps more for recruiting being in that bracket most years. So I think Notre Dame's here to stay, and I think Freeman is one of the best coaches in the game.
Yeah, a little bit of it's not necessarily a transition for Kirk Campbell, but obviously getting the promotion in Ann Arbor, he inherits an interesting quarterback room, right? We get Underwood and the late flip commit, and reports are kind of shaky. They bring in Garcia out of the portal in June, which was a little ominous, at least on paper. Do you like the trajectory of what's happening with those guys on offense in Ann Arbor, or is that part of the reasons you have questions about their resting place in the Big Ten?
Yeah, it's definitely a question, to be honest with you. And, it starts at quarterback. They really struggled there last year and really broke the offense. They had to go super run heavy, which that could still work at a place like Michigan. But the timing of it last year, after their title team, they sent 6 linemen to the pros. And, you only start 5. So that shows you how deep that offensive line was, sending 6 guys to the pros. So they had a huge rebuild happening. It was the coach change after Harbaugh. It was quarterback change after McCarthy. The defense at least kept them afloat, and I think that'll continue. They've recruited so well there, and they coach them up on defense. But I don't see any kind of breakthrough, and it would have only been in the form of Underwood. But I have never seen such negativity out of a 5-star.
So it's not just not just us, because sometimes I feel like I'm reading what I want to. I haven't heard anything good.
No, you're right, and you usually hear the local writers and local people really overly optimistic about the 5-star. They're like, oh my gosh, he's the answer to our problems. Look at him, he's got the big arm. But then at Michigan, it just didn't have that same feel. They're a little worried, and you see pictures out of there, some practice clips. I don't know, unless it's all some deception thing they're trying to do. But then the writing's on the wall by bringing Garcia in, and that's kind of an insurance policy to me. That sounds to me like, all right, we'll start Underwood. If after September, if it's not clicking, at least we have an experienced Power 4 guy to put in there. That's what it looks like to me as an insurance type policy. So we'll see. But usually it's way, way more optimistic coming out of the camp than that.
Brett, I'm curious, kind of a big picture question here as you get ready to send your magazine to print and get ready for public consumption here. I know how much pride you take in the accuracy of your playoff predictions. Last year with the 12 team for the first time, like, Did you have to change at all the way you approach this? I know you talked about the schedule matrix being a big part of how you kind of put those predictions together. Like, how much different was it going from 4-team to 12 now that you've got a year of it under your belt?
Yeah, well, the process, the research, the writing, all that still remained the same. It was just that final stage. With 4 teams, you had to really fine-tooth comb it, right? You had to really laser in on, can this team go undefeated? And that's such a higher bar than can they go 9-3 in the SEC. So it was really, can this team go undefeated or maybe one loss and win their conference title game? That was the old formula. So you really had to be, way more focused. Now, last year, this time, I was trying to think, what's the committee going to do? Are they going to have 5 SEC teams? Is it going to be 3-3-2-2? Like, how's that bid breakdown going to go? Because I've got the teams ranked. It's just a matter of how many from each league is going to get in there. Another thing is the big non-conference games, because you might have a couple of, within the SEC 5-3 teams, but did they also go undefeated non-conference to get to 9-3? So much more. Yeah, you're right. I mean, with the 4-teamer, I had to be more particular, and here are the 4 teams with the best case. Now it's a wider scope, and you're looking at different things like who can edge through their 9-3 and be in the discussion, or who'd be 10-2 with a couple big resume wins. So it's a different ball game now, and for better or for worse.
I want to go back to the Big Ten here for a little bit. I want to see. Look, I want to talk through Parson through the middle part of this, and they're probably closer to the top, but they have questions too. Whether it's the in-game stuff from Oregon, I'm not sure how you feel about, Willie Stein or Lapoy for that matter. If it's not his recruiting prowess defensively, whomever takes snaps there at the quarterback spot, are they, for you, is Oregon talented enough to be firmly slotted in that top 3 of Ohio State, Penn State, and then I'm assuming Oregon? Do you like Stein and like the prowess, or is it plug and? Are they good enough to be plug and play at quarterback?
Well, this is a big test this year because the first 2 quarterbacks that they had there were some of the most experienced in college football history.
You got 2 record holders and career starts back-to-back years.
They broke each other's record. Yeah, it was Bo Nixon his 6th year and Gabriel his 6th year, and they were great. They operated that offense perfectly. It's a lot of short passing. You just get the ball to the athletes and then let them create on the outside. The one thing you can't deny is their offensive line building. They've been great at that. That started under Cristobal and has now continued. They had another Joe Moore Award finalist last year, but a lot of starters gone. So the deal with Oregon this year is, I think it's 18 starters gone off of that undefeated team, but the way they've recruited is unbelievable. It's new standards for Oregon. So it's how quickly can these young guys compete and round into a playoff contender. In the old system, in the 4-teamer, I would not pick them for the playoff. I think they're going to trip up a couple times with such a young team. But this is a whole new ball game. If they go 10-2 or 9-3 even with a tough schedule, they're going to be rounding into form in January. This young team is going to have 12 games under their belt, all the bowl practices, and they could round into a playoff championship contender in January. So I do think they have a good shot at winning it all or being in that playoff in the 12-teamer. And, it's just all-time recruiting standards now, top 5 every year. And I know that recruiting rankings can be wrong, but they're more right than wrong. And over such a sample size of like 4 straight classes like this, I think they're loaded everywhere.
God, good pull on O-line coach, because I think that's Alik Terry.
Mm-hmm.
And this might only be his 3rd year, I think, as their O-line coach, which is incredible for the headway that he's made. But all right, so let me give you another one. We talked about, Stein and whomever plays quarterback there. We've touched on, Campbell and whomever's going to play quarterback in Ann Arbor. Do you lean the more known commodity of Maeva and Lincoln Riley in SC to have a resurgence?
Yeah, definitely. And that's why I threw them into that conversation earlier about that middle tier and can they contend. I think they're definitely a contender. If there's any guy that has a track record on offense, it's Lincoln Riley. I mean, it's unbelievable what he built over the years in Oklahoma, Heisman winner at USC already. That's never been the problem. It's been their defense. And I think he made a great hire last cycle with Anthony Lynn coming across town from UCLA.
Yeah.
So I think that with the second-year coordinator bonus there, you're going to be boosted there. They also packed their defensive line with a couple big nose tackles. Keyshawn Silver, 330-pounder, and Jamal Jarrett, a 350-pounder from Oregon. So put some beef in the middle of that line, against these Big Ten offenses, start to build towards a Big Ten defense. And again, like I said, 7-6 last year, a lot of them were one-score games, and a lot of them they held leads late in the game, couldn't finish it off. The run game wasn't as strong, and maybe some of that clock management at the end of the game. He's not used to being in such battles, but I think that starts to reverse here this year. I think they're going to be better than they looked last year. And yeah, you know what? He handpicked Mayava. He made the quarterback switch halfway through the year. That was on purpose. This guy knows what he's doing. You have to trust a coach like that with such a track record. So, and then talk about recruiting. It's 5 stars and 4 stars everywhere at USC. I like them as a top 25 team, probably higher than that, and in that contention for a 4th or 5th spot in the Big Ten.
Yeah, and I actually think there's good days ahead for Miller Moss too. So if Lincoln Riley's right, man, good on him, because he got rid of a guy that I think is going to be functional in his next stop with his OC. If they do that, he definitely reiterates that he knows what he's doing. Let me kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Do you like the emergence of Cignetti and what Mendoza brings to the table, or the track record and upside of Holgorsen and Raiola?
Oh, that's a tough one being on Nebraska radio right now.
Oh, but that's why you're one of the best. As we're talking with Brett Ciancia from Pick Six.
It's 2 different scenarios to me, to be honest with you. Because Mendoza, we saw him all last year. We didn't have the talent around him at Cal, but he kept them competitive. They had like a 35-10 lead on Miami. He was throwing the ball all over the yard before that big Miami comeback. But I think with Mendoza, they're getting one of the best quarterbacks in the country. It's a little bit more proven to me. But here's the thing with Raiola. He's got a 5-star billing, and you always see that biggest improvement from the first to second year starting. People forget he's a true freshman last year.
And with over 500 snaps.
Yeah, absolutely. So, no, I think you're going to see a great boost here from Raiola in a second year. I love the coordinator switch. I don't think that the old one was going to really work based off his track record at South Carolina before that. So I really like the Holgorsen move. He's done it everywhere. He's kind of a brilliant offensive mind. So, you know what? I'll go with a bigger improvement there at Nebraska. I had a chance to go down there. I was down there for the Colorado game last year. The stadium was rocking. I mean, that was one of the loudest stadiums I've ever heard when Tommy Hill had that pick 6. I was right down that end zone, man. I mean, that was awesome, peak college football. So, I got to see Nebraska at their best last year. I want to see more of that this year. And I think you'll get that. I mean, they always talk about Rule's 3rd year. Here we are. It's year 3. They're older. They're bigger. So I think it's time.
So I want to stick in the Big Ten here for a second because, ironically enough, and this leads into my question, we haven't really talked about Penn State yet. And they might be the most, by the way, returning quarterback who everybody thinks is pretty good. You got Kotelnicki at OC. You've got a playoff team from last year. You got a bunch of returning starters, and we're just kind of like, oh, yeah, Penn State's there too.
Yeah, no, it's true. But I think you're in a different environment than me. I'm based in Pennsylvania. So I'm hearing this every single day about Penn State. The Penn Staters, this is all in for Penn State this year, 2025. Okay. I mean, this is I've been hearing about this recruiting class for 5 years. This 2022 class, it's a lot of in-staters.
We reread it off last year when we were trying to validate James Franklin. We're like, why in the world are people every year he has to prove himself? The guy's been really good. He has.
No, it's true.
He has. And they've only had two really good recruiting, where we would call high-end recruiting classes. Otherwise, he's kind of been, low teens. But the 2022 class was supposed to be sensational.
Exactly, and that's all back. It's Drew Aller, quarterback. It's the running back duo of Allen and Singleton. These are guys that could have gone pro and been high draft picks, and one by one they all came back. They do lose Abdul Carter, the big defensive end that went 3rd overall. But it reminds me a little bit of the Michigan in 23 and Ohio State in 24, where a lot of guys could have gone pro and they all ran it back for one last year. Love their coordinators. So talking about Franklin, his coordinator Rolodex is incredible. One guy leaves, he brings in Jim Knowles. He hires Tom Allen. Tom Allen goes to Clemson. He pulls the other best coordinator in the country, Jim Knowles. He's got one of the best offensive minds in the country, Kotelnicki. So I really like what they have up there. This is kind of the year to do it. But, yeah, we talk about the pros and cons. The con that everyone brings up here in Pennsylvania is Ohio State. They have a real Ohio State problem. They always play them close into the 4th quarter, and then they collapse late in the game. It's like an annual sequel you have to watch every year. It's the Penn State collapse against Ohio State. So fans are really focused on that. But the Final Four run last year got them some juice and really raised the expectations for this year. It really feels like an all-in type season and situation for Penn State.
Let me give you one more since we're in the Big Ten, because for some reason, and I think it's the 5 losses in a row, I just think they're better than we're giving them credit for. And They're recruiting well, and I think it's must-win for Nebraska if they want to make some headway. They've got to beat both Minnesota and Iowa, which they haven't done in the same year in forever. What do you think about the Gophers?
Yeah, well, this is a program you know what you're getting. It's PJ Fleck. It's a grinded-out team. They're not going to beat themselves. What we saw last year was a little bit different, actually. Usually a run-heavy, one of the most run-heavy percentage teams in the country. They aired it out a little bit last year. So that was a different touch. But they do have a lot of talent back. This is like a consistently 7 or 8 win caliber team. So they're a tough out. I don't see them contending, obviously, for a title outright. Probably one in that big middle tier we talk about. But, you got to like what Fleck has done. He's going with a young coordinator on defense. That might be a little bit of an unknown. But they're not going to fall off. They're not going to be like a 4-8 team all of a sudden. They're going to be a tough out every Saturday.
That's our guy, Brett Ciancia, Pick Six Previews. Make sure you go check out pick6previews.com. Make sure you get that preview magazine or online digital copy ordered as well. Brett, we appreciate the time. As always, let's catch up again soon.
Be as good as it gets, buddy. You know I mean that.
Thanks for having me, guys. Thanks for the praise. Let's talk again in July once they're published.
You got it.
That's our guy, Brett Ciancia, Pick Six Previews. Talk about a good Rolodex.
He's just really, really good. And being right matters.
Oh, yeah. Honestly, that's what first kind of like drew me to him was the fact that like he cares about getting it right.
And it took me a little bit to get the abbreviations and kind of the shorthand because it's a ton of info.
Oh, yeah, it is.
But
he packs a ton of information in that thing.
He's as good as there is.
Yeah, absolutely. And I honestly think it does give you, like, I'm a multiple magazines guy. Like, I'll collect a few of them.
Oh, yeah.
I'll go get Brett's. I'll go get Phil Steele's. And then I usually do an athlon, too, kind of like to get the different perspectives. Brett's is a very, like, numbers analytics-based
I'm just
one.
glad it'll be ready before Big Ten Media Days because I
need
need to
it.
compare and contrast
Yeah.
with the other Bible, which is Phil Steele.
I'm going to need it for sure. That's DB. I'm Ravi and DB. Hurrdat Sports Live coming up next.
Just be able to take a new the leadership role in everything I do, whether it's just helping guys out with plays, with defense. Now I should have this defense, locked in my brain, and I have no excuses anymore. And to really just take everything to the next level, to just carry this program and represent it the right way. But in terms of basketball, the defensive side is definitely something that I knew I needed to get better at, and have always needed to get better at. And so my body has been something I've really been trying to take account for this summer. And Kurt's been on my tail about it, and it's been really good. And being able to do more than just shoot it too. Whether it doesn't have to necessarily be scoring, but reading the right way on the court and open more guys up, especially with how many guys that we got that can shoot it and can score it. I don't need to score, for us to be good.
A successful financial future is built one coin at a time. Whether you're just starting out or a seasoned saver, we've got the financial resources and team of experts who will be with you every step of the way. Centris Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
You're watching Hurrdat Sports.
Connor, again, he had 2 really good games for the Armenian national team against Costa Rica, one in Fresno, one in LA, and played really well. Had 15 and 18, I think, in the 2 games. And that's very valuable, not only for the experience of going out there and playing in a different system, playing the FIBA basketball rules, but also what it can do for your confidence. I think you saw that with Keisei when he went over and played for his national team with Japan and what that did for his confidence. And, Connor, I don't think he's missed a shot yet in our live play. Now, we haven't played a ton, but, he's, I think, 5 for 5 from 3 and made us one layup. So, he's just a guy that, the way he finished off the season after a tough ending night and, regrouped and was very important for us and winning that Crown Championship out in Las Vegas. So he's in a really good place right now. And again, I admire Connor for everything he's all about, his faith, and how that's really helped him grow and get through tough times. And yeah, he's just in a really good place right now.
Give me that cheddar, bacon, Rico. Big money rolls like burritos. Give me that hot sauce, no pico. Give me that. Give me that.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, reminding you to make sure you go check out the auto financing at centrusfcu.org. They've been consistently voted best in Omaha for auto financing. They can get you on your way with the rates and pre-approvals that you need to confidently shop for a new vehicle. Whether it's your daily driver or just something you want to drive around for fun, they've got you covered. Get your application started and talk to experts over at centrusfcu.org, federally insured by NCUA. Really interesting stuff there from Brett.
How about him just casually dropping Oregon's offensive line coach? He didn't call him it is Alik Terry, but
yes,
just the little things like that.
Mm-hmm.
As I don't know, is it the Moorhead Award? What's the assistant coach?
Joe Moore.
Yeah.
No, Joe Moore is Bryles is assistant coach. Joe Moore is the offensive
line coach, yeah.
Or offensive line unit.
So, they have quietly been pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get the sense, though, Lanning gets pushed back in game?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's considered a really good recruiter, really good program builder. Don't know that people love him in game.
The more as closer we're getting to this, I am finding more questions nationally about Oregon than foregone conclusion.
I mean, what do you say? They lost 18 starters?
Yeah.
That's aggressive. Like, that's a lot.
It just, again, we've tried this. We've carved this up from every angle.
Mm-hmm.
And I like other people's perspectives, so it's not just regurgitated.
Yeah, it gives us a little.
Just another way to reiterate.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be wide the heck open.
Yeah. And I mean, I did think your question about Sellers versus Gronowski was really interesting because.
You think he understood the angle?
I don't know.
Because it's easy to just take Sellers.
Yes.
But that wasn't really the question.
Yeah, reframe the question for me.
So the question was more of an impact relative to where their team is trying to go.
I want to make sure I had the word you used right.
Yeah.
Because in my head it was impact. I wanted to make sure. I do think so. The hard thing is I think South Carolina goes exactly as far as Sellers takes them.
I understand that.
So that's the argument for Sellers, right? If he isn't that dude all the time, doesn't pull the Cam Newton out of the hat, basically, and with Shula as the OC. That's the analogy I'm going to use there.
What if Gronowski's quarterback play is worth +2 in the win column? Is that a reach?
I don't know that it's a reach, but it's +2 from like a minimum of 7 with terrible quarterback play.
Yeah, that's big.
No, it is. But if
that's huge,
Sellers is terrible, they win what, 5 games maybe?
What if that's going from 8 to 10 or even 7 to 9?
No, I get it. I'm taking it from 7 to 9.
I mean, is South Carolina going to win 9?
So here's my thing, though. But what did they win without Sellers? Like 4?
It's the impact of the play.
Right, but if Sellers is worth 4
relative
wins,
to what those teams do.
Right, so if Sellers is worth 4 wins to South Carolina, so let's say they're a 4.
He's worth every win.
Yeah, so that would be the argument for him making a bigger impact.
But relative to where South Carolina is trying to go versus what Iowa is capable of is the question. That's the context. So what if South Carolina wins 8 games?
Well, I don't think South Carolina's wherever they're trying to go does not end in the playoff, no matter what.
Okay.
Right? So that's your argument with Iowa is the high end of where Gronowski can take them.
Would put them in playoff
contention. Yes. Whereas there's probably not a world in which South Carolina's in playoff contention.
That's kind of how I'm framing it.
Agree
or disagree?
That's a fine way to frame it. When you first said impact, I go, how many wins are they worth to their team?
Well, that's why when I tagged the question, it was relative to where they're trying to go.
And I thought the way my mind was, it was relative to who they are without them.
My mind's telling me no.
Because I think you could make
my body.
So that's why I could say easily why maybe Ciancia didn't get the whole picture, because I didn't really either in terms of what you were trying to ask. Because Sellers, like you said, is worth whatever wins South Carolina gets. Yeah. All of them are Sellers. Yeah. Whereas Iowa probably wins 7.
You have to look at it in terms of.
But their ceiling is
Iowa
not.
Has been very mid to less than mid at the quarterback spot, and still played at a high level.
I think you could also make
good quarterback play
is a huge difference maker for them.
Huge.
I think you could also make the difference that it's harder to go from 8 wins to 10 wins than it is to go from 6 to 8.
No, I agree. I 100% agree.
So, if Sellers takes them from – because, I
100% agree with you.
I'm not going to say South Carolina wins 0 games without Sellers. They would figure out a way to win a handful of games. Mm-hmm. So, let's say they go from 5 or 6 to 8 because of Sellers. That, I think, is a smaller impact than going from 8 to 10 with Gronowski, if that's what Iowa ends up being. That makes sense to me, because I do think – and we've seen that – we've seen that here, right?
Yes.
Bo could never get past that number, right? Sometimes you get to 10, but it wasn't – they weren't ever contender 10.
Yeah.
Right?
And I remember there's one guy that I got to be pretty fun. You remember K. Coos?
I don't.
Yeah, I met him on social media and then seen him out a couple of times. He's a big tax guy here. And this goes all the way back to the Taylor Martinez days. This is how long he and I have been conversating. He's a huge Chiefs fan. But anyway,
Taylor?
He would always tell me about, next leveling Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
And his sentiment was, look, man, going from 4 to 8 is significantly easier than 9 to 11.
Yeah.
Or 8 to 10.
I would agree.
So, I totally understand that. But relative, if we just take Iowa, for example, relative to, pencil them in for 8 anyway.
Yeah, I would say 7, but 7 or 8.
Okay. So, what's good quarterback play worth?
If it's actually good, and that we're making an assumption because we don't know
They're
what
going to be good at the running back spot too.
We don't know.
I like him a ton.
We don't know what the transition is going to be like for Gronowski, right? That's the big wild card here. But if it actually is good, it probably is worth 2 wins.
Because what do I always hear you say about a team like Indiana? Well, I'm not saying they're going to be in the playoffs again. Well, because they won double-digit games. So to exceed that, you're using the argument the other way. They're already there. It's much more likely that they come back to the pack. Still be good.
Yeah.
But not – so, if you're going to use it that way, then you got to be able to see the difference for us. And it doesn't even have to be Iowa, because I know everybody cringes. But I'm just saying –
I just don't know that I'm not ready to put Gronowski. I know you really like him. I'm not ready to put Gronowski.
I don't know if I am either, but hear my heart. If he and Lester
figure it out,
it just changes their profile.
Oh, for sure. No, they're getting no pushback from me on that. If they figure it out, it dramatically.
And there's a reason why Bartu and Adam like Lester.
Better hire than people thought at the time.
Yeah.
Even though he was coming off of a tough year. Better hire than people thought.
How soon before you think Fleck gets credit for his ability to reload coordinators?
You know, I
Because he
think
shuffles them guys in and out too, and they've stayed pretty consistent.
I think it's going to be really hard for people to give Fleck his credit just because people don't seem to like him that much.
Yeah.
And that's not a good reason, but it does seem to be a factor. Like it doesn't. It seems
clearly pretty good at what he does.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But again, another great example of really hard to go from like 8 to 10. Right?
You know who's going to be on the hunt for and I said this before, and we kind of got away from it. You know who's on the hunt for a huge payday?
Who?
Because he likes him too, and I do as well.
Mm-hmm.
If Washington has a good season,
Fish
8 wins. I mean, Fish is going to get paid.
Yeah.
By someone.
I would say probably not at Washington.
Oh, they're capable if they want to invest.
Yeah, I don't know if they do.
Like their press is going to they've got in their AD, they've got some decisions to make if Fish is pretty good because I think he can recruit too.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful, beautiful facility.
You have to wonder, like, how confident are they can get the hire right 3 times in a row, from going from DeBoer to Fish to whoever else they'd have to hire.
I told you though,
like that's hard to
quietly.
do.
He was the best hire
in that cycle.
In that cycle,
was that 2 years ago?
Yeah,
yeah.
And when did they have?
Or I guess no. Last year was his first year, right?
They had
before last year.
And when did they have to replace?
They replaced everybody.
They
had to replace everybody.
That was late in the game.
Yeah, they had to replace everybody, and it was mid-January basically when DeBoer left for Bama. But you're replacing Penix, you're replacing all the receivers, you're replacing a bunch of the O-line.
Everybody.
So he and Dillingham have a chance to really put themselves in position to be like, hey, I'm the next dude.
I do wonder willingness to actually pony up the money.
From Washington standpoint?
I mean, both Arizona State and Washington.
No, I understand.
Like, I do think those aren't historically programs that you're like, oh, yeah, they'll pay whatever it takes.
Somebody, though, is
for sure. Yeah, whether it's...
I mean, Arizona State isn't historically either.
That's what I mean, yeah.
It's like...
And Dillingham, especially if...
And there could be some big-time jobs that come open.
I do think we're very much sleeping on Arizona State. For as good as they were last year, nobody's...
Does this have to do with the...
It's the question you asked Brett. Nobody's talking about Arizona State.
So, did you like how I asked him, though?
Yeah.
Because relative to what they're bringing back...
Mm-hmm.
And their success a year ago.
Probably should be talking about them a little bit more.
Why isn't there more of a consensus?
They're very similar to Penn State.
See, that's not the comp I would give.
Who?
I think they're closer to Illinois.
Oh, okay. So even if they don't take a leap, you figure they're back where they should be next year?
I'll put it to you like this. How you feel about Arizona State this year is how you feel how good they were last year. It's the exact same thing I said about Illinois.
Yeah.
See, we think Penn State's pretty good.
Yeah.
We thought they were pretty good last year. I don't know if anybody's saying that about Illinois or
we thought
Arizona
State was fluky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why. Now, if you thought Arizona State was really good last year, you're probably high on them this year.
I think they were really good in their conference.
I mean, you vibing with that, though?
Yeah. No, that makes sense. That makes total sense.
Because that's exactly how Illinois is.
Yeah.
And clearly, Brett statistically, with him is the Rolodex, did not think Illinois was very good last year. So he's not blown away by them this year.
That's not what he said. He said they don't have the statistical profile to take a leap to like 11 wins.
Yeah. Well,
so I think he thinks
what's that?
To me,
what's the difference in what I said?
Because I don't think that means they weren't very good last year. I mean, they're not in a position.
I said he wasn't blown away with them statistically. I didn't use the word good or bad.
Okay.
I said he wasn't blown away with them statistically.
Because I think they're going to be basically exactly what they were last year. Like that's what maybe the record comes down a game.
Did I say good?
I thought you said good. I might have.
Statistically.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. Statistically,
I know I said statistically.
They don't have the profile of like an Indiana that did blow people away. Right.
I think Indiana's just the opposite. I've been trying to make the case about Indiana that they were really good last year.
Yeah.
And all I ever hear is, well, I don't know if they're going to be back in the playoffs. I'm like, guys, I'm just telling you, they were good.
They were legitimately good last year.
That was a good.
And maybe,
I don't have any problem saying that.
Maybe this is just me sitting here being like, it's Indiana. I'm going to need to see it a couple times before I buy it.
That's fair, though.
Like, that's honestly because I don't have a good football reason.
But Cignetti does win a lot.
He does.
He's told you.
I mean, we could Google him. But that's the only – I don't have a good reason outside of, hey, I do think the quarterback change is going to matter. Like, Rourke weirdly fit perfectly with Cignetti, and it just worked immediately. I don't know that you get that match made in heaven every year when you're bringing somebody else in. So I do have a little bit of hesitation there. Outside of that, I don't have a good reason. Like, they beat everybody's ass last year. Like, I don't like
that they did.
Like, I don't have a good reason outside of it's Indiana to be like, I don't know yet. But it is Indiana. I'm going to need to see it a couple times.
It's pretty simple. I win.
Like, I don't have a good reason. It's Indiana. I have to see it.
So as we kind of we ramp into this, because I am thankful so far, knock on wood, that we haven't had lulls in the show.
Mm-hmm.
But as we talk more national with the Bill Bent, like some of these guys, I want to grab Thamel too, Shane, if we can. Just simple questions, objectively.
Mm-hmm.
Like Cignetti and Mendoza versus Raiola and Holgerson,
mm-hmm.
or Maava and Riley versus, Campbell and, let's say, Underwood. Like, how much of
Fish and Williams?
Yeah, like how much of what we're talking about is going to come down to it's the separators and the meat, the sandwich part of the Big Ten is simply QBs and OCs.
Yeah.
It seems like a pretty substantial.
It seems like a lot,
doesn't it?
And if that's the case, I'll take my chances with our guys.
Gonna be weird.
We've got Jesse Rogers coming up next. Talk a little baseball from ESPN Chicago here on Hurrdat Sports Live.
Just be able to take a new the leadership role in everything I do, whether it's just helping guys out with plays, with defense. Now I should have this defense, locked in my brain, and I have no excuses anymore. And to really just take everything to the next level, to just carry this program and represent it the right way. But in terms of basketball, the defensive side is definitely something that I knew I needed to get better at, and I've always needed to get better at. And so my body has been something I've really been trying to take account for this summer. And Kurt's been on my tail about it, and it's been really good. And being able to do more than just shoot it too. Whether it doesn't have to necessarily be scoring, but reading the right way on the court and open more guys up, especially with how many guys that we got that can shoot it and can score it. I don't need to score, for us to be good.
A successful financial future is built one coin at a time. Whether you're just starting out or a seasoned saver, we've got the financial resources and team of experts who will be with you every step of the way. Centris Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
Watching Hurrdat Sports.
Connor, again, he had two really good games for the Armenian national team against Costa Rica, one in Fresno, one in LA, and played really well. It had 15 and 18, I think, in the two games. And that's very valuable, not only for the experience of going out there and playing in a different system, playing the FIBA basketball rules, but also what it can do for your confidence. I think you saw that with Keisei when he went over and played for his national team with Japan and what that did for his confidence. And, Connor, I don't think he's missed a shot yet in our live play. Now, we haven't played a ton, but, he's, I think, 5 for 5 from 3 and made his one layup. So, he's just a guy that, the way he finished off the season after a tough ending night, and, regrouped and was very important for us and winning that Crown Championship out in Las Vegas. So he's in a really good place right now. And again, I admire Connor for everything he's all about, his faith, and, how that's really helped him grow and get through tough times. And yeah, he's just in a really good place right now.
Give me that cheddar, weekend Rico. Big bunny of those like burritos. Give me that hot sauce, no pico. Give me that.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Right to left. They're bad about this one. Suzuki with a two-run snap. The Cubs now lead 11-2.
Swinging a high drive into left center field. That one's going to carry way back there. And that ball is gone. Oh, my. That is way out of here by Romy Gonzalez. Will be his third home run of the year. The Red Sox are loving life here today at Fenway.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Central Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We are joined now by Jesse Rogers. He covers Major League Baseball for ESPN Chicago. Jesse, how are you this morning?
I'm doing well. What's going on?
Jesse, we are just trying to make it. What a crazy season so far. I was joking last week. We were looking at standings or something, and we were talking about the Astros. And I said, God, you know what? Outside of Brown, there's, 9 out of 10 people can't name the Astros rotation. And my buddy sent me a stat the other day because he's kind of an Astros guy because of Jake Meyer and stuff. And I didn't realize their team ERA is 2.69 in the month of June, and it came down after yesterday. Right? Like, what are we talking about with the Astros right now, Jesse?
Well, I mean, if you're a baseball fan, you should know Framber Valdez. That guy's been doing it for a long time. Man, he was masterful yesterday again. They're 21-9 basically over the last month. They're just the Astros. They just know how to do it. It took a little bit of time for them to sort of revamp and figure out who they were without Tucker, without Bregman. But Altuve is just a great player, great leader. He won the game yesterday.
Yeah.
And they're just a pitching machine. They just develop pitchers. Hunter Brown's the latest. There's a few other guys there as well. So they're just the Astros. That's all I could say. They just have kept this thing going for years. Some organizations just are able to do it even with turnover, whether it be front office, manager, turnover. And we've seen that with Houston over the years in both cases. But they just have a machine down there. And it took a little bit of time to find their footing, but here they are once again ruling the AL West.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, you talk about organizations. I don't know that people necessarily appreciate how different this team is from like 2017 to 2019 to 2022 to now. You mentioned some of those guys that are no longer in the fold for the Astros. I mean, in your mind, have they sort of taken – I don't know. I always have this sense of who's the best, like, scouted and run organization in all of baseball. Do they have the crown for you in that, or is it somebody else?
Well, they're in the team photo for sure. I mean, just knowing their ballpark alone, like Itzhak Paredes is not as good in other places, but he's darn good there.
Yeah.
Crawford boxes.
Good call.
Even Altuve, perfect for the Crawford boxes. You got to get the right-handed hitters, but it's what they've done on the mound that puts them in that team photo at the very and maybe near the top. Just the way they've acquired and developed pitching. It reminds me of Tampa Bay, who's done – there's like a few teams, Cleveland. There's just a few teams that are ahead of the game. Now, Houston has payroll to go along with some of these on-the-edges advantages that they have. So it's that combination that has made them it's hard to be this good for so long. It really is with that much turnover. But they've done it. I mean, think about it. They subtracted Bregman and Tucker, and now we're into July and they haven't really missed a beat.
Interesting. I'm going to talk about just locally, just because of the flair and kind of it staying in your wheelhouse. With the Cubs, what they're doing, almost double anybody else's run differential in that division. But they're an interesting offensive team. I think the only guy with over a 900 OPS is Tucker. I mean, Horner is leading them in BA, 290 or whatever. I always worry about their offensive sustainability. But like Pete Crow or Armstrong, when Baez and Trevor Williams were acquired, were you thinking, oh, man, it's going to take me about 4 years to see if the Pete Crow Armstrong pays dividends? Is what the Cubs do offensively, in your opinion, how sustainable is it versus I still don't even know who Suzuki is, but I watch what he does, and I'm like, God, it works somehow. How for the Cubs offensively for you?
Well, they're a combination of speed and power, which is what you need in today's game. I don't know why other teams haven't figured that out, especially teams that can't spend as much money. I mean, speed does not cost you as much money as power does. The Cubs have a combination of that, and I think some of the other good teams have the same. The Diamondbacks come to mind, but look, we're halfway through the season, and they're averaging 5.4 runs a game, second best in baseball. So you ask me if it's sustainable. I think the answer is yes, and it is because of what I just said. Up and down, it's a good combination of lefty-righty, power, and speed. That tells me it's sustainable. Some guys are streaky, but that's okay because other guys are more consistent, and when you get streaky, you get bad, and then you get good, and then you get bad and good, and in between is some consistency. So they have everything you need for a sustainable offense, and it is unique that's the strongest part of their game. It's almost like what we used to call the stopper with an ace on the mound. In other words, Cubs haven't had many losing streaks of more than a few games because they can't go 5 games without scoring. I mean, Saturday in Houston was a great example. They're up 1-0, then Cam Smith homers to make it 2-1. And you're thinking, uh-oh, and they score 7 runs the next inning and win easily. Their offense has been their stopper, which, again, in the past has really sort of been relegated to a starting pitcher or two. And so, yeah, I do think it's sustainable, and it's the strength of their team.
All right, Jesse. So I got I'm looking at some of the best teams in the league. You've got the Yankees with the best run differential, and they've only got the 1.5 game lead over Tampa. And you've got, we mentioned Chicago, and they're playing triple digits in run differential. They just got a 2-game lead over Milwaukee. And then I look at Detroit, and they're right there, plus 99 in the run differential, but they've got the only double-digit lead in a division in all of baseball at 11.5 over Cleveland. I know Tarek Skubal's great, but how are they doing it with the rest of the squad?
Jesse, don't they lead the league in wins of 5 runs or more too, don't they?
Yeah.
They hammer people.
Yeah, their offense is sneaky good. Kerry Carpenter, for example, nobody knows his name outside
He just
of
got
Detroit.
one yesterday,
Yeah. Kerry Carpenter's sneaky power. Riley Green and Torkelson, they're a lot of peak versions of themselves in that lineup. They rediscovered Javi Baez, who's hitting 290. There's just a peak version of a lot of guys going on in that lineup. And then, they have the classic ace, but behind him is pretty good pitchers in Mize, and Flaherty's had his ups and downs, but he's pretty darn good. It's just a sneaky good team. I mean, and team is a key word. It's just not all Skubal, and it's not all one hitter. It's just there's a lot of reminders of the Cubs in there, to be honest. It's just a well balanced.
I agree.
But the difference is Skubal. He's the difference maker. He's the stopper that I was talking about. Cubs use their offense as a stopper. Skubal will stop losing skids. So, and also the division's a little depressed. It's not as good as it was last year. Where 3 teams made the playoffs, and I'm really disappointed in Kansas City. I thought they'd be better. They have a good pitching staff, but not enough hitting. I've never been a big believer in Minnesota, and Cleveland's underachieving a little bit compared to last year. So they've been great, and the division's a little depressed, and that's how you end up with an 11.5 game lead.
That's interesting, too, because last year in the playoffs, they had all the anomalies, right? The lack of stolen bases by one particular individual, the batting average by one particular individual, the home runs by one particular individual, all anomalies statistically, and you turn around and they have the huge lead, and like Gleyber Torres is leading them in OBP. It doesn't – sneaky's a good word because it doesn't make a lot of sense on paper. Like, how is Gleyber Torres leading your team in OBP?
What a signing he's been. I mean, Scott Harris is a sharp guy. He's a sharp guy. You know, they run the bases as well as anybody, even though the stolen base totals aren't great. They go first, third, second home. They put pressure on the opposing team. I mean, you know, when you talk about managers, someone once told me you could put 30 names in a hat and pick one out, and they'd probably be good enough to manage. You know, there's a couple that are probably don't belong, but like there's in my the phrase I use is if a manager gets it or doesn't get it. Like AJ Hinch gets it. He knows what he's doing. If you're a player, you trust AJ Hinch. He doesn't have to prove anything to you. He's been there. He's done that. He knows what he's doing. There's a few managers that have instant credibility, instant respect, instant trust. That's the best word to use. Where you just look at the end of the dugout and you know that guy knows what he's doing. And AJ Hinch is among them. So it's just a combination of everything coming together for the Tigers.
So, okay, 2 years ago, this just shows you're talking to a guy that's not very smart with baseball. We picked teams that had been in the playoffs that were picked to not be able to repeat, and a lot of people had the Diamondbacks. I for sure had the Brewers, right? Devin Williams was on the IR. Counsell had left. You know, Pat Murphy comes in. They have the season they have last year, and lo and behold, here they are again. What is it about the Brewers? I mean, their ownership group was like, hey, we're only built to go so far. The fans were outraged in the offseason. Doesn't seem to matter. The Brewers just keep winning. So again, Jesse, I asked the question, how are they doing it?
Yeah, again, sneaky good front office in terms of acquisition and development. And this is what I'm talking about, why other teams, the Pirates are a great example. Okay, they don't spend money. Why aren't they leaning into the new rules? Go get some speed. Go get some defense. Milwaukee is just smarter than teams, but I don't understand why necessarily, because everyone sees now with the new rules that speed's important. Defense can overcome, doesn't cost you money, meaning to overcome some other issues. And so that's it. They're just leaning into the new rules more than ever and taking advantage of some acquisitions that fall through the cracks. Some players that other teams don't think maybe as highly of. William Contreras, that'd be who wouldn't want him? He was top 5 MVP last year. So, like, just using him as an example, they just are ahead of the game. I don't quite understand it when you think about other small market teams. They have meetings every day. Why aren't they talking about why don't we get some speed? Why don't we get some defense? Maybe it's easier said than done, but there's just a Milwaukee way that's been established, knowing they're not going to spend payroll, and every acquisition and everything through the minor leagues is geared towards that moment of we need speed and defense and pitching on the margins to win. We're not going to have the best of any of it, but we're going to have a well-rounded organization that addresses those things at a low cost, and they do it as well as anyone. That's the best way I can explain it.
Jesse, speaking of teams that people were talking about for regression and maybe did versus didn't, the Orioles looked a couple years ago. They're coming off the 100-win season, first place finish, make the ALDS, get 90-plus wins last year, and then sort of fell off a cliff. It seemed like a lot of people liked the young roster, the way they were constructed, a lot of their pieces. What's gone wrong in Baltimore?
Yeah, I can't tell you what's gone wrong at the plate necessarily, because some of these guys are underachieving. I mean, basically all of them. Young guys are so I don't know if there's something in the water there this year. They switched the manager and coaching staff a little bit there. So I don't know. A perfect storm of underachievement at the plate, but I just don't like what the front office thought about what they were going to do on the mound. Like, you need to finish off the rebuild, and maybe that's it. They're missing that veteran on the mound, or missing that veteran in the lineup that you bring in to finish off the rebuild. Charlie Morton at 40-plus years old, I know he's righted the ship a little bit, but that shouldn't have been it. You let Burns walk and you replace him with Morton. Like, finish the rebuild. Spend that big money on a hitter that can come in and lead the way, or that pitcher that can come in and lead the way. And they didn't do that. They didn't finish the rebuild. So now it's all built very precariously, and if just a couple guys underachieve, it can all fall apart. And that's kind of what happened. That's kind of the way I look at it. You didn't have that foundation with a veteran or two to lead you out of the wilderness when things went south early on, and they've been trying to climb out of it since. That's not finishing the rebuild is the best way I'd put it when it comes to the Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah, talking all things baseball with the great Jesse Rogers. Jesse, full disclosure, a lot of this is just because I want to be right, but I'm going to try not to ask a leading question. I picked them to win the division, and I think people laughed at me only because I don't know what it was, but I just had a feeling that their offense would come to life. I like St. Louis. I know Ollie gets a hard time sometimes from a pretty loyal fan base. They're only 2 games out of first. Again, kind of one of those teams where I'm wondering how they do it. Have they put themselves in position to maybe be buyers at this stage, and kind of how do you project what St. Louis is doing?
It's been amazing. It's quite the prediction to pick them to win the division when they stated all offseason this is kind of a transition year with John Mozeliak, their executive. So that's a heck of a pick, but they've almost taken advantage of it. I covered them in spring training. I've seen them a lot, and the pressure was off for the first time in St. Louis in forever. They could just play loose and free, and if things don't go well, they're going to break up the team anyway in July, and they sort of came together. I think it started with Arenado turning down the trade to Houston, said, well, okay, well, let's just go for it in those sense. I'm talking about the locker room felt that way. They added very little in the offseason, and I really think, Ollie's been okay in terms of just letting them go play. Like, I feel like Marmo and that team played with pressure the last few years, especially Marmo as a first-time manager. But now this year, there was all sorts of talk about Molina or Pujols taking over and breaking up the team, and they just kind of went out there and played. And their pitching staff has been much better than I thought they'd be.
Yeah.
Their lineup's been, we use that word sneaky, pretty good. If they're buyers, I think it'll be on the margins. I think they would love to make the playoffs and just roll the dice and go from there like a lot of teams. First of all, it's a seller's market. There's not a lot out there in this moment. There might be by the end of this month. But just like the offseason, I don't think St. Louis is going to do a ton at the trade deadline. They're just going to kind of go for it a little bit here and hope they can just continue to play this well. They're pretty well-rounded. In my mind, they don't do anything great. They don't do anything poorly either. They just do things well, and if they can keep it up, maybe they can sneak in.
Maybe it's neither. But who should be better than they are in your opinion right now? The Rangers or the Diamondbacks?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's a tough call for me. I've been a Diamondbacks guy. I mean, they faced each other in the World Series a couple of years ago. I've always liked what Arizona has sort of done in a smaller market. But at some point, you can't overcome injuries. Now, having said that, their bullpen's been a disaster, even with the injuries or without the injuries. It's just been terrible. The Rangers should probably be better. The Diamondbacks have at least the excuse of the injuries. The Rangers, their young hitters have not grown the way they thought. Their offseason acquisitions haven't been as good as they hoped. And even though they have this pitching staff with DeGrom's renaissance and Tyler Mahle and Evaldi, and like it's a good pitching staff, but they're 2 games under. They should be better. But it's their lineup now, and I know there was a piece, I think, in The Athletic where they investigated what's happening at home in terms of the hitting environment, but it's the same for both teams. And you're 24-18 at home, so it's just because Globe Life Field isn't playing the way you hope doesn't mean you can't win there. So I'm confused why the Rangers aren't better with Bochy there. I know the front office is really confused by their offense overall. So yeah, they should be better. At least the Diamondbacks can blame the injuries.
If you had the draft tomorrow, you talked about young hitters not achieving, and they've both been hurt. Would you take Corbin Carroll or Adley Rutschman?
I would take Corbin Carroll. Yeah, I would take Corbin Carroll. Yeah, I look, there's a lot to like about Adley, and look, the position he plays might put him over the edge, but Carroll has that dynamic power and speed thing that works in today's game. It's a tough call. It's a little bit apples and oranges. Switch hitter, catcher, that does give him an advantage. But now that, Carroll had that moment early last year for 3 months really, but that combination of power and speed just plays in today's game. I'm sure GMs would feel differently because he's a catcher, but I just like the ability to hit for power and speed and do everything on a baseball diamond. Adley can do a lot. I just think Corbin is one of the best 5 players in the National League.
So, Jesse, I got to ask this, even though my partner here is a Dodgers fan.
And I refrain.
I'm going to ask for you because I'm fascinated by this. At what point do the constant pitching injuries catch up with the Dodgers? Because I thought it was going to be last year when they're throwing bullpen games in the World Series. Apparently that wasn't the case, but they just keep throwing more guys on the shelf seemingly every day. Like, is there a tipping point for you where they're like, hey, this is no longer sustainable to actually field a baseball team when you can't have 5 starting pitchers on a day in, day out basis?
I mean, a few years ago, I would have said, yes, there's a tipping point, but it feels like times have changed. I just mentioned the Cubs offense is their stopper. I mean, that applies to the Dodgers times 10.
Sure.
You know, they're not going more than a few games without scoring a bunch of runs. So it's kind of like if their offense ever cooled off for a long period of time, those pitching issues would really surface. But, yeah, you said it right. They won a World Series with a lot of bullpen games. 2025 MLB baseball is about, bullpens as much as it is starting pitching, where that wasn't the case 10 years ago, 20 years ago. So I don't know if there's a tipping point. I really don't. They and the Cubs are in first place with starting staffs, ERAs, in the bottom 7 in baseball. That wouldn't have happened a while ago. You couldn't do that with a starting staff with ERAs that high. But that's 2 out of 6 division leaders with ERAs like ranked 24th and worse. So I don't think there's a tipping point because the game has changed.
Just let me ask you, if you're playing the long game and you're Boone and you're in New York and you can see your flaws a little bit, but then you're kind of thinking about best case scenario too. If you're Boone and you're a New York fan, what are you looking to kind of next level, considering your team is they're pretty much who we think they are? I don't know what their margin for growth is, right? This seems like who the Yankees are. What do you think?
No, I think that's true. You asked me about Milwaukee earlier. The conversations that Brewers organization has on a daily basis must sound different than the Yankees, who basically just pay to slug and pitching. That's it. Like, you want to talk about how organizations work differently because of payroll. The Yankees are trying to slug the ball and, of course, pitch. The Brewers have to do all these little things on the margins to be just as good. I mean, it's very similar records. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it's just like get healthy, be as dynamic in the lineup as you can. It's not about speed. It's not about defense. And we saw that hurt them in the World Series. But look, they got to the World Series, and they're in first place. So you'd like to have a dynamic team, and they're a little bit more athletic, which you have there than they were at the beginning of like last year per se. Maybe a little bit better defensively, but not much. It's really about slug and getting Stanton going, and that just make sure they have enough lefties to be pair with the righties. And now that Soto's gone, so that you're right. It's like Boone has a lot less to do than Pat Murphy on the Brewers, in my estimation. I'm sure he would disagree with me.
Jesse, I'm going to be a little selfish here and ask about the Red Sox quickly. Do I have anything to look forward to this year, or do I just need to suffer through like 12 more Walker Buehler starts?
Oh, easy. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. No, I think they're cooked.
Okay.
I think they're cooked. I was in San Francisco when Devers faced them and they won the first game, and it feels like they haven't won a game since. I know they did, but
I think just a single game since, but yes.
Yeah. It feels like they're cooked, and I don't like the rhetoric coming from some teams, and the Red Sox are one of them. And this happens when you're on an 80-plus win pace, and you're trying to get to a 90-win pace. And what I'm getting at is just like it feels like they're chasing wins and not the process. When you're in first place, you just talk about process and let things take care of themselves. The rhetoric right here, like we're in the hunt, we're 3 out of the wild card. They're just like chasing wins. And when you're chasing wins, you're in a bad spot. And I feel like the Diamondbacks are a little bit like that. They're just like trying to find that avenue that gets them to 80 in the AL, especially maybe 86, 87 that might get them in, where in the NL you probably need more like 90. I just don't like. I just didn't like what I heard when I was around them. You know, they're trying to now that Devers is gone, trying to figure out exactly how this offense is going to work. And you know, Cora must have said it once, if he said it a dozen times. We just have to pitch. We just have to pitch. Well, you can't put that much pressure on one part of your team to carry you to the playoffs. So I don't like the vibe there. Look, they have good young players. Maybe it'll be better in the future, but just don't see the path for them to get to the playoffs now.
Jesse, I wanted to talk about the Angels here for a second, but I'll close with them. Better story going right now for you in terms of, well, they're kind of interesting. Are the Blue Jays finally who they thought they were, or are the Reds more who they're finally supposed to be? Both teams are interesting. They get a lot of preseason love, and here they are actually playing fairly well. Is this about where they should have been?
Well, first of all, I'll address all three teams because I am shocked by the Angels.
Me too. I think that's the best story in baseball for a team with a losing record.
I thought the Athletics would finish well ahead of them, to be honest. I really thought the A's were going to be better. The Angels, I can't believe how good they are. I just didn't love their offseason. You know, I spent some time with their GM, Perry Maniason, and he was telling me, no, it's not as bad as it looks or something. You know, he didn't say it like that, but he liked the combination, you know, and I got to give him credit. It's better than I thought, and they survived without Trout, and it haven't really relied on him the way they have in the past. So the Angels might be the best story in baseball, considering where I thought they'd be. The Reds are not a surprise. They have one of the best starting staffs in the National League. Look, they're only 44-40. They're not great. They're just decent, and they should be better than they were in the past. Francona is a veteran manager. I thought they'd be better. I still wonder about their offense. Can't just all L.A. De La Cruz. I know T.J. Frito had a nice run. It is a starting staff, though, that can contend and put them in a position to do that. And who's your third team?
So
the Blue Jays.
Yeah, the Blue Jays.
Yeah, the Blue Jays are fine. They're better than they have been. I don't love the Blue Jays. They need probably some help on the mound. They're 7 over. That's surprising to me.
Yeah.
But maybe this is what they should have been the last couple years, right? There's a good foundation there. They're still a little too right-handed. I've said this for years. So I think they've been better than I thought for sure. I just don't love them. Like you kind of like them. I don't love them. Same thing with the Reds. I like them. I don't love them.
What do you think you can get from Scherzer?
You know, he and Verlander really remind me of each other for a lot of reasons. They're the same age, basically. You know, if you get a quality start, that's what you want out of those guys. 6 innings, 3 runs. Like, that's kind of what you want. You can't expect the moon. You can't expect ace material. You know, quality starts. If he can pile up some quality starts, I think you'd be happy with that. You know, be a leader on that team, that kind of thing. But I don't think you can ask for much more than that.
That's our guy, Jesse Rogers.
Fantastic.
Covers Major League Baseball for ESPN Chicago. Jesse, appreciate the time as always, even if you did have to pee in my Cheerios about the Red Sox. I totally understand. It was great talking to you, Jesse.
I appreciate you, Jesse.
You got it, guys. Be well.
That's our guy, Jesse Rogers. I mean, listen, I knew what he was going to say.
Yeah.
I was hoping maybe I was being a little too pessimistic. I can be that way sometimes about the Red Sox, so I thought maybe, nope, I was right.
The funny thing is
got to keep watering the bamboo.
Well, 100%. You definitely have to keep doing that. You know, the funny thing about like the Blue Jays and the Reds and the Mariners.
What's that?
We thought they were supposed to be good a couple years ago.
Yeah, they're late to the party.
And maybe they're just now getting there.
Felt like Baltimore was early to the party and then they left early.
I'm surprised he would take Carroll over Rutschman. The only reason I asked the question is because he was talking about young guys that haven't kind of next leveled.
Yeah.
And Carroll's flirted with it, but he's been hurt. But Rutschman's coming off the injury, but he's been
closer
not very good.
Yeah, he's been pretty rough this year.
So
what's he at, like 220?
If that, probably closer to 230. I bet
somewhere in that
226, 227, maybe
somewhere in that neighborhood.
Around there, yeah.
Like
Baltimore's interesting though.
Not a lot of power numbers. Like
they did hit the century mark.
Yeah, 101 wins 2 years ago,
and it's like, what happened?
And even last year there was a little talk about regression. They went back to 91. Be like, still making the playoffs. So you're in the neighborhood there.
But I do think the Angels are the best story in baseball. And now that Ron Washington is done with the health-related issues, I'll be curious to see kind of what happens. But I did not expect 4 teams in the AL West to have 40 wins, more than 40 wins by now.
You know what I think is fascinating?
I mean, that's pretty good.
That we didn't get to talk about is you're starting to hear some of the stories of the toll that playing in Sacramento is having on Oakland and the A's and their players, and feeling like they're in a minor league ballpark and
tired, and
like you're starting to hear some of that. They still have another full year or 2 years of this
full
after this year. Like there's no end in sight. Good luck putting a team together next year, Oakland.
Yeah. And the Angels are doing it without Trout really even being Trout.
Yeah.
I mean, 230. I think he's got 12 or 13 dongs maybe.
I
guarantee his OPS is below 750. Like the Angels
788.
Is it?
Yeah.
Dang.
Almost. You forget that his on-base percentage is always really good still.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're kind of doing it without him. Not without him, but
without
him being
the version of him
you're
that
led
he's
by,
supposed to be.
Yeah, it's a weird
team
to
quietly. When's the last time Trout was actually Trout?
Like if I had to guess?
Yeah, because I've got it in front of me.
20-25.
When was the last time Trout was Trout? Good question. 19.
So a little more recently than that. But
man, that's a great question.
So
he's in Cape Cod. I wonder if he's seeing any great whites.
Who?
Rule.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
So in 2022, he had a good year, but he only played 119 games. That's the only time since 2019 that he's played 100 games in a season. It's the only time since 2019 he's played 90 games in a season. Like my guy just hasn't, because when he's out there,
too many muscles.
For the most part, been pretty good, right? But my guy just is not staying on the ball field very much. Not getting a lot of at-bats.
Has he fallen off the first ballot?
Probably not, but we're having a very Griffey-like career here.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Like top heavy, and then the back end's kind of petering out, lots of injuries, not getting very many games in. I'm hoping.
I hate that.
But like we're 33 now. We're pretty deep into this thing to have like a sudden resurgence. Like maybe there's a return back to some level of normalcy, but
I mean, even your boy Cal Raleigh's still only 28.
I'll say 5 years younger.
I think you're mad about his age.
I'm not really mad about it. I just think it's weird. I think it's odd. Maybe he comes back to earth and he only ends up hitting like 42 on the year, and that would make a lot more sense.
Did you see no home run derby for Shohei?
Yeah, that's probably the right call.
Yeah, I'm happy.
My guy gets injured a lot like that.
Relax.
He's sensitive.
Relax. Every time
he's a little fragile.
Came to the plate yesterday, just cameras. Just there was this family behind.
He does a home run derby every game anyway.
Storm and every 5. I think I glanced over my shoulder, and I shouldn't care, man. We're in public, but I don't sit outside exposed in a lot of sporting events by design.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Hey, excuse the language, but this is effing exciting." I was like, "Oh gosh, that's fine."
When's the last time you sat ticketed at a game? Not coaching, not in a press box, not as an official visitor, not calling the game. Your last ticketed fan experience. It's got to be a minute, right?
Yeah, years.
Are we talking more than a decade? 2015?
It's probably close.
Probably in the neighborhood.
It was very, and I barely spoke.
Do you have an idea what it was?
No.
Really? You can't even remember? So it's
I'm
been that long.
I'm telling you, when at Kaufman.
Yeah.
If it wasn't to Parker, Brett, or Joe.
You didn't say a word.
I didn't say one word.
Except for to the Valenzuela guy.
Yeah.
And then you
and that was
instantly.
Not my doing. I didn't. Yeah. I was very chill. Like,
yeah.
That's fine. JB had kind of figured out like which restrooms to use and which.
That's fine.
And it was funny too because he was totally babysitting unsolicited.
Mhm.
I think he just knows he's like, hey, we'll go down a level and it's not as congested, it's not as crowded, it's it'll be fine down there. And I just kind of just followed. Like I didn't say much.
Yeah.
Nope.
That's when you said that, I was like, man, when's the last time you would have been like just in the stands?
And even when I was talking to Joe or Brett, I was probably whispering.
Yeah. just keeping it real quiet.
Yeah. Yeah, I was I did a little kid watching.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a little girl who had on like this romper with no sleeves. I'm like, she's too cold.
I mean, what was it like out? It had to be hot.
No, it wasn't hot.
Really?
No. I wore sleeves. I'm sure I was like the biggest laughing stock in town until we actually got there and it was cold.
I mean, you always wear sleeves. That's not like news.
Yeah, 100%. Again, it was I can't remember.
It's funny.
Like a ticketed sporting event.
Because for doing the same.
Because even NCAAs, I was credentialed.
Yeah.
A ticketed sporting event.
Did you pick the tickets for yesterday?
Nope, they were a gift from one Marty Cordero.
Oh, that's nice of him.
Marty, what a nice guy. We're gonna talk to Marty tomorrow.
Yeah, it was a total gift.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because for doing the same job, you and I have very different experiences in public. Like obviously you've got your life before doing this job, which contributes a lot to that. But like I can go anywhere I want, and it's not like people say hi to me sometimes. But
I did see a guy from Omaha.
Yeah,
he's like DB. I knew he was a Dodgers fan, and I was like, not surprised. You got a Kershaw jersey. You know good players.
Like we ran in, Natasha and I went out to get ice cream last week, and somebody ran into me and like said hi and was like, hey, love the show, whatever. He's like, I like you back when you were just doing Creighton stuff back in the day, whatever. And she's like, I don't ever really know what to do when that happens. Like she's like, I don't have anything to add to this conversation.
People know me, they just walk on off.
Back in the day.
Hey, do you know take a stab.
Shout out to John, by the way, nice guy.
At the Royals jersey that I saw the most of.
Ooh, that's a good question. My initial,
I would say it was at least 1.5 to 1 of the next jersey. Maybe 2 to 1.
So my initial
maybe 2 to 1
would have been Bobby Witt.
Bobby Witt is the one.
Okay, then Salvi.
Incorrect.
Really?
Not even close.
Really? Because he's beloved.
Yeah, not even close.
George?
Is it a current Royal?
It is not.
Okay.
Gordon?
It is not.
That's a good guess.
It's a great pull.
My mind went to Sweeney.
It is not. I saw more Hosmer jerseys than I did Sweeney.
Oh, they love Hosmer.
Which is weird.
Was it from the 2015 team?
Mr. Ground Ball. No.
Okay. Cranky?
No.
Saberhagen?
No.
Joe Randa. I'm just kidding.
Joe Random. Good pull.
Frank?
No.
Didn't Ken Harvey have a minute with the Royals?
Another good pull. The guy used to hit bombs at Nebraska. He had one of the single greatest seasons in Nebraska baseball history.
Unilevis Hernandez.
No. You're gonna be like, oh yeah.
Who is it?
You hate the guy.
I hate him.
Oh, Bo Jackson.
Correct.
Really?
Hundreds of Bo
That's
Jackson jerseys.
wild.
That's awesome.
I'd say at least 100.
That's wild. I don't hate Bo Jackson.
Bo Jackson.
I don't hate Bo Jackson.
They were more. I'm like, JB's like, oh yeah, they love Bo.
That's crazy.
Yeah. 116 jerseys.
That is wild.
I was floored.
He played for them for 5 years, 35 years ago. That's crazy.
Bo Jackson.
Man, good on him. Good for you.
Shane knew it.
Something's got to keep Bo relevant. Certainly not his NFL
Maybe
career.
they're just giving him away down there.
Billy Butler. See, I'm team cornflicted. Remember he's got the NBA
yeah.
I could rock.
Dude, Billy Butler's a great pull.
I could rock with that dude. And he wore the pajama bottom pants.
Oh, snap. Rico just said Jalen Ramsey got traded to the Steelers.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah. I'm looking at it on the bottom deal.
That's good for you. Are you happy?
I mean, they needed a secondary guy. I don't know, Jalen. They got a lot of personality there.
Bo Jackson's the GOAT of what, Royce? Never playing?
I like Royce, though.
What are you talking about? He played 5 years. You just said that.
What is he the GOAT of?
I don't know.
Ask
He's on my TikTok algorithm.
Make-believe video games?
I think every run that dude had in the NFL was for more than 10 yards. Because
that's fine.
It's either always the Bengals or the Seahawks.
You've seen the same highlight 100 times because those are all the highlights.
One of the Seahawks games is outside, so
that's all the highlights that exist.
So that I do know it's at least 2 different games because he's not running in the tunnel in the Kingdom.
That's what I mean.
It's one of the best highlights ever, though.
You want to know something? You want to know something? You want to know who has more career rushing yards than Bo Jackson?
Oh gosh,
You want to know?
I'm not even trying to get you started.
Jim Harbaugh has more career rushing
he played
yards.
like 30 years.
Have you seen Jim Harbaugh move? He's a statue. That's your greatest running back of all time.
What team did he play for?
Barely any. 37 career games.
For what team?
You're not going to get a ton of pushback from me on the Bo thing.
That's because you can't. There's no factual evidence. The only thing people can throw at me is best athlete I've ever seen. Cool. He never played. He never played. And then, I swear to God, it's the commercials and Tecmo Bowl. That's the thing people bring up.
So what's your point?
Famously didn't happen on a real field of competition.
DJ, I usually rock with you, but Bo Jackson is not the closest.
We're not
my
even
generation has seen to Jim Thorpe.
We're not even in the same neighborhood here.
Why people continually thumb their nose at Deion Sanders? I'm not even standing for it.
He was, I think, better at both.
Clearly.
Actually played.
What
are we even talking about?
don't, Shane, they're going to get me to go back to that place about 10 years ago when I melted down over the Deion versus Bo thing. Knock it off. Knock it off.
You know how many career home runs Bo has?
Listen.
Career.
Deion Sanders was significantly better at baseball than anybody talks about, and he's the best player to ever play his position in the NFL.
Accurate.
Come on with the Jim Thorpe thing and Bo Jackson.
Accurate.
Let's DJ, my dude, but we're not doing that.
We're not doing that today.
We're not. I mean, what Deion's got to be a career 260 hitter.
He is 263.
Okay, what's his OPS?
Only 70 points behind Bo, I'll tell you that, and not a power hitter.
What are we talking about?
711 to 784.
The amount of disrespect Deion gets for what he pulled off is mind-boggling.
Listen,
so you guys,
it's mind-boggling.
So you guys,
I don't even like Deion, but as a player, there's no question.
Now
no question. This is just
I'm
as a
more
player.
apt to win this argument than I am the Lemieux over Gretzky thing.
Fair,
but I feel very similar about Lemieux and Gretzky as I do Bo and Deion.
So you guys,
the slander of the difference between the two drives me up the wall.
My hockey Rolodex isn't good enough to argue with you on that one, but I will ride with you on Deion over Bo.
Are you guys calling the great city of Kansas City a liar? Because everybody in Kansas City
popular
would say
and great aren't the same thing, Shane. Let's make that clear.
I mean, Bo was gifted, man, but
he was super gifted, but he never did anything with it.
We fast forwarded.
Yeah, he did. He ran over some guys.
He ran up a wall that one time. Wasn't that cool?
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
He made that one really cool throw.
He did.
I haven't been.
You know why I know? Because I've seen those same highlights a billion times. Because those are the only highlights. It's like watching. Listen, I've done a lot of this. It's like watching high school game film, like a highlight tape of somebody that didn't play very often. It's like 90 seconds long, and it's like the same 8 plays.
Well, not every.
I did this a lot.
Not every game was on TV back in 1990.
They were all still video recorded.
I'm not gonna knock Bo. That's not what I'm just telling you. For whatever the reason, Deion Sanders is grossly overlooked for his prowess in both sports.
Very underrated.
Grossly overlooked. Correct.
I mean, you're right. He still is the best corner we've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like best cover
You
corner
could
we've
make
ever
the
seen.
case he's in the top 3 return men.
Yeah.
He played offense and scored, and he played 2 major league sporting events in the same 24-hour stretch. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
Well, for the longest time, okay, here's the thing. Cut it out. For the longest time, Kansas City didn't have much that they held high. They had the one Super Bowl from way back yonder, and then from like pretty much the entire decade of the 90s, it was all Bo Jackson.
No, it wasn't. He stopped playing for Kansas City in 1990.
That's what I'm saying, though. But that whole decade, they were just all. I mean, obviously, you saw the 117 jerseys on Sunday, yesterday.
I'm just saying they had George Brett into the 90s. Somebody who contributed to a.
And he's the other one. But I mean,
he's not the other one to Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson's not in that conversation, Shane. Popular and great are not the same thing. I know that you have a love affair with Bo Jackson. That's fine. You keep your Raiders love over there. This is not the same thing. He barely played.
Do you have Bo Jackson up?
Yeah, I've got him right up.
How many career touchdowns does Bo Jackson
I
have
had
in the NFL?
I had baseball up. It's not very many, but I'll
like
look.
17.
I got to look up football stats.
I'm not going to use my hands.
You're not going to.
I mean, it's not much.
You're not going to use.
I guarantee you.
16.
I was going to be right. I guarantee you Deion Sanders has more touchdowns in the NFL than Bo Jackson.
Well, let's find out.
He does. Deion Sanders has 22 touchdowns.
And he's a defensive player. Played defense. I don't know if you know.
Deion Sanders has 22 touchdowns in the NFL. Stop.
Defensive player.
Just knock it off.
I got to rep my guy, though.
No, you don't.
Why not?
Because you just sit here and be wrong?
22.
That's more than 16, famously. I don't know if you know that.
I'm telling you that very few hills I'll die on. But
Deion over Bo?
Yes.
That's the hill you're dying on?
Yes.
I think that's the correct hill to die on.
I'll get plenty of pushback.
I mean, people can make you dumber.
But I could, again, it's not that I can't see what he was capable of. I look at some of those long runs and I'm like, man, dude was pretty gifted.
Yeah.
But I also know, like, part of brilliance and greatness is actually doing it. And Deion did it.
I would say much more than
I watched this dude hit for the cycle in Cincinnati. And I'm like, and he stole third without a throw. Like, that's cool that a guy ran up a wall and chucked the dude out from 317 feet away, but
doesn't do you any good.
I just needed to see a little more of it.
That's kind of my point.
I just did that. The Deion versus Bo thing drives me up the wall.
Also, low-key, Deion looked incredible in those mid-90s Reds uniforms.
It was the curl, man, with the little half helmet.
No, I'm talking about
With
like
the
the white with the red pinstripes and the cutoffs.
Those
man, he looked great
How
in
about
those
that guy
uniforms.
having to play for Mark Schott? The irony.
Little Alanis Morissette, a little too ironic.
Bo was the GOAT.
Of what?
Running up walls. Running over.
He might have been the best American Ninja Warrior we've ever seen. I guess we'll never know.
Running over people called Boz.
Let's get who was famously really good in the NFL. Wait, nope, one of the biggest busts in NFL history. Thank you. Let's get to Michigan Lance here. Wants to talk some NFL QBs. What's going on, Michigan Lance?
Hey, what's up, fellas? Hey, Shane asked me about Bo Jackson. You guys aren't doing Bo Jackson slander.
No,
again, are you?
no, I'm not slandering Bo Jackson. I made a very simple statement. Deion Sanders was better at both his sports than Bo ever thought about being as a professional.
Ever thought of?
Okay.
All right, man.
Okay. See, this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. This is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. So listen to what I'm telling you. Stop me when I tell a lie. Is Deion the best corner to ever play the game in the NFL, widely regarded as?
Yes.
Okay. Is Bo Jackson the best at anything he's ever done professionally? The answer is no. Bo Jackson, How many career NFL touchdowns does Bo Jackson have? That answer is 16. Deion Sanders has 22. Deion Sanders has a better batting average than Bo Jackson and is only 70 points behind him in OPS. Deion's hit for the cycle in a game. Like, Bo Bo Jackson ran up a wall and threw a guy out from 315 feet. I love it. He's a great player. But when we're talking accomplishments on the field, the diamond and the field, knock it off. Like, it's not – I don't understand what we're looking at. I don't. I don't. The guy played in 2 professional sports in 1 day. And he's the best at what he did. He's a top 3 returner of all time. He has more touchdowns than Bo Jackson in the NFL. And what are we talking? Like, dude, the prowess just doesn't matter. You laughed at me. See, I wouldn't get gassed up if you didn't chuckle like I was some dummy. Like, don't do that. This dude, like, the myth is so great, it's not even funny. And I like Bo. This didn't start out as I don't like Bo. What I'm saying is we misremember how good Deion was. But we're quick to want to inflate how good Bo was. But I don't know, man. Deion was something else.
No, come on, man. I'm on the same page with you with Deion. When it comes to Bo Jackson, Bo Jackson played maybe around the same amount of time of baseball as Prime, so most definitely Prime gets some. I mean, he did have a major hip surgery. I mean, I don't know. Still came back to play. Like,
Deion has a fake toe. Like, I mean, he was playing on 9 toes as a pro. Yeah, do that custom fit shoe. Like, he could barely walk.
Hip replacement. Have you seen people like Shannon Sharp walk around with hip replacement?
I don't know. I know one thing Bo can't do, and that's score a touchdown 5 different ways. I know that.
Well, okay, so man, nobody can do, like, not many people can do that.
No,
like,
you said the right. You said the right term. No one except for Deion.
Okay, so Deion is the greatest football player ever, then too, as well, right?
Well, if Deion is if Deion's accomplishments in football are a 10, what are Bo's?
Well, Bo's, you have to look at
a 4, a 5. No, I don't.
You know, the games played, that matters.
I don't have to look. I don't. No, I don't. No, I don't have. No,
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that wrong. What I'm saying is when Bo Jackson actually played football, right? He's comparable as one of the best ever. The games that he played. I'm not talking about he had a 10-year career. No, only the games that he played. When he stepped on the field, he produced. After just like Prime, after playing another sport, and Prime was on a good baseball team. That's why he was able to play in the World Series at the same time. Bo Jackson could have did the same thing. The Royals weren't good enough. Like, so that's what I'm talking about on the football side. The man averaged 5.4 yards a carry.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when he played, he was one of the best ever. That's all you can go off of. You can't say, well, Deion had way more touchdowns. Yeah, he also had more opportunities. He
played
a longer
defense.
career to do it.
That's
we're gonna talk about yards.
Listen,
like,
that's
you know what I mean?
That's part of the discussion. That's part of the discussion, though. And again, I'm not down on Bo.
Right. And I'm not down on Deion.
You're completely arguing. You're not saying what you're not listening to what I'm telling you. What I'm telling you is the mythological what ifs about Bo are fine. That's everybody's argument. What I'm telling you is the productivity of the guys that actually did it. They belong in the same discussion. Like, and the Deion seemingly slight over his accomplishments, it's incredible because the same thing that we want to hold against Bo, which is availability and opportunity, is something that a multi-sport superstar was able to maintain. He should get credit for that.
Most definitely. We were
dismissive of it, like, oh man, that's what the body's built to do. Why can't you do 15 different things and be good at all of them?
No.
Okay, that's what I hear. That's what I hear.
What I'm saying is, because that's funny. That's kind of how our relationship got going with Bo Jackson, because you were like, he wasn't this, and I said, well, he averaged over 5 yards a carry.
Big deal. So did Jamal Charles. I mean, what's Chris Johnson's yards per average? And if over 4 years, it was better than Bo's.
It's not 5.4.
Listen, if you just listen, can I take a selective 320 carries and look at a guy's YPCs? I'll take Terrell Davis. I'll take Chris Johnson. Like, don't give me that, man. Like, part of the yards per carry were the limited attempts. You don't have time for it to go down. Like, you got to take the good with the bad. You can't look at it from the vantage point of, well, when he did. Part of being great at what you do is the ability to have your first carry look a lot like your 25th. That's what a lot of guys that have more carries than Bo Jackson did. So I'm not with you on the YPCs. Okay. He didn't do it enough. Yeah,
okay. So how about this? Let's go to the other end. So, like, Emmitt Smith has the most yards ever, right? So, but that doesn't make him the best. The hell, he's not even. I don't believe he's
but I'm not using that. I'm not using longevity as a disclaimer. I'm telling you, you don't get to fast forward to the good. I'm not using it as a good or a bad. I'm just simply talking about the statistical performance. What happens with Bo? What always happens with Bo is we take this small sample size and we project the what ifs. He is very much the beneficiary of his prowess. I don't have any problems with that. It's the definitive statements that we make, like it would have been this. We don't know.
Yeah, I haven't said that one time. You're right. I haven't said that one. So now you're talking generally.
I'm talking about with Deion. We know. We saw. We know.
Most definitely.
We know.
Yeah. Okay. We saw with Bo too. Like, who's to say the timetable? Like, what's his name? Cam Newton, right? So Cam Newton, from college up until maybe his 5th or 6th year before his decline in the NFL, right? Like, that was a great run. One of the best runs ever in sports as a player, as just a football player. Don't matter what level, I'm talking about as a football player. Like, so what I'm saying with Bo Jackson, from the time that he had and the time that he did it, before the injury and the time that he did it was great.
I'm not discrediting Bo. I just think it's laughable how those two get lumped in to the same sentence as dual sport athletes, and one guy gets the benefit of the doubt and the other guy doesn't, and he actually did it. If Deion is a 10 in the NFL, Bo Jackson can't be more than a 4 comparative. You just can't. I don't care how you look at it.
Why can't he? You talking about because of stats?
Easy. One guy is regarded at the best of his position. He is the gold standard. You're not even sure in their prime if you take Adrian Peterson over Bo Jackson.
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, that's funny. I just had this discussion. I said Adrian Peterson is actually is arguably the best running back ever.
Listen,
so,
you get zero pushback from me. Zero.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
You can't definitively tell me you'd take Bo Jackson over Eric Dickerson. You can't definitively tell me you take Bo Jackson over Barry Sanders. Yet we just all of a sudden established one guy is the premier, la creme de la creme. I just gave you 3 guys on a humbug that you're not even sure you take Bo over, but we're comparing the two in the same sentence because they both play 2 sports. I'm telling you, one guy is the gold standard. One guy we think could have been. It's a silly discussion.
You've talked me into it, Damon. I'm on your side
because I'm right.
You're right. You're right.
Here's the thing that we forget is like film and watch, like turning on the film, right? Like and watching it. I'm not talking about a 1-game experience. What did Bo play? 4 or 5 seasons, 4 seasons or something like that. I think it was 4 or 3.5. You know, got hurt in his last year. You turn on the film those 3.5 years or whatever years he played baseball, and that too. When you watch it, you can go back and watch it. It's up. It's big time now. Now, when you start talking about comparing to a guy that played 10 plus years in the MLB and the NFL, well, yeah, that's gonna you're gonna be like, oh, well, he accomplished more.
Yeah,
Deion
belongs in his own. He belongs in his own category.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that. You know what I mean? I'll give you that. But when you compare film, you turn them both on, and they both did the same thing. Hey, man, that's Bo isn't taking a back seat from what he did at the time that he played.
That's not my discussion. I'm just telling you, one guy has 10 more reels to watch.
Well, of course. I mean, that's just like LeBron has 30 more years than Jordan because of, you know what I mean? He had 10 more, 8 more years than he did. It's kind of, and it's kind of like what I say about, you talk about the mythology of like Michael Jordan of the greatest and he did this and that. I'm with you, DB, because with Jordan, we don't want to talk about the 80s. We act like he didn't play there. And when he did, we don't talk about him losing. We'll talk about him putting 63 points on the Celtics, but we don't mention a 30-point loss. Or he had 50 against the Pistons, but we don't talk about, they got swept. Like, so I get what you're saying. Because I feel the same way about Michael Jordan. The mythology of him has grown way more than it should be when you look at the totality of his career. Not the 6 years that he won championships.
Hey,
he played for the Wizards and didn't win, and in the 80s he didn't win as well, and he played 6 seasons in the 80s. So I definitely understand where you're coming from with the Bo Jackson thing.
Let me get you out on this because we got to go. Let me get you out on this. Would you take prime Aaron Rodgers or prime Patrick Mahomes?
Prime Patrick Mahomes. I think Aaron Rodgers. I think he was overrated. I think he played. I'm not saying he's not good. I'm not saying he's not really good, but I think he's overrated because he played and just like Brett Favre, he played for Green Bay, quarterback. Like like them guys get special. You talk about didn't they talk about Shador not throwing passes so he wouldn't get interceptions? Hell, Aaron Rodgers started that. He damn sure was looking at his completion percentage and making sure his ratio was, touchdown to interceptions was very low. He held on to the ball a lot to make sure his stats were good. Aaron's overrated to me.
Get us back in the morning. I got some more we got to talk about.
Yeah, because I didn't get to my Big Ten quarterbacks.
We're gonna get to it because we're gonna break down the Big Ten. You can help us. You can help us set up the show tomorrow.
All right, my man.
All right, buddy.
That's Michigan Lance.
I don't even like getting like that over Deion. I don't, but I just don't know why he's not more celebrated. Maybe it's because we think he's a jerk, but that dude was incredible.
Yeah,
I mean, incredible.
Bo Jackson, famously likable and easy to get along with.
I'm blaming DJ. Yeah, you started.
Parting shots.
Don't forget, make sure you get out there to that Sports Bar and Grill, get our summer specials. And a reminder, we are going to be off next week, but we'll have some we'll have a little bit of stuff for you to consume still, but we won't be doing the live shows next week. It's our little summer vacation here on Hurrdat Sports Live. We'll be back tomorrow.
See you. Have a good day. Love you.